Connor, this is 372 pages. We shall never get back. You didn't know that was the original title, did you, Connor Listoka, who is also here with me?
No, it was Ye Old Podcast. That's how we started this.
There's some housing development near me that add the E to the end of like wood and stuff like that.
Ooh.
It's just like endless irritant. It's like vinegar in your eyes every time you pass it. Like who allowed that?
Yeah.
Because you always want to add the E, like, shore woody inns. Like, stop that. There's no E.
Wood Hamlet burnt down last night. Let's go check out that guy who was disparaging extraneous E's on this podcast.
Yeah, boy. I don't have a good record with burning. But anyway, this is the podcast where we talk about
petty
books.
grievances. Yeah.
Yes, petty grievances and books that we probably won't like. That's the premise.
Yeah.
We
shouldn't like. It's evolved into we're going to read one that we know we're going to like, but we shouldn't like it as adult men who are reading it ironically, essentially.
It's true, and I mentioned that I have a slight anecdote about this, and so I'll just tell it now. Is that I have you ever had ooni, the sea urchin? They call it sea urchin roe. I guess it's like not actually roe.
I think only when you've been present, yes.
Okay. Well, the first time I had it, which wasn't, that long ago in my long life, was just like, oh, this is what have I been missing? Like, this is amazing.
Oh, okay.
It's like, 'twas a brave man who first ate an oyster, but then you eat one and you're like, oh, okay, now I see. I mean, this does not look good.
But this is like ooni is like someone looked at an oyster and was like, what if we really dialed down like the visual appeal and the made it a little less sexy.
Yeah, and the whole cracking it open and everything. We're going to do that behind a curtain, like the like the Mormons and
Utah bartender.
Beer. Yeah, because this is not for human consumption. But then it comes out and it's a nice little orange thing, sort of orangey. Anyway, the first time I had it, it was like, I think a tiny tear rolled down my cheek of like, oh my God, this is so good.
Oh, wow.
And then you go to another place and you're like, all right, they have ooni here. I'm going to do it. And like, second time I've had it. No big deal. And then you have it and you're like, a tear rolls down. You're just like, this is so good. That is what this book is like to me. It is the second helping of ooni that still delights me. In a way that I can't quite express. And ooni, this was chosen for a reason. Ooni's not for everyone. So
yes, right. You stuck the landing on that one.
Yeah, thank you. All right, yes.
I was worried you were going to venture into a restaurant that served it to you, and then you were going to be like, oh, this is this ooni. They got this sea urchin from the Hudson River or something. Like, this is not
well, it did happen to my dear wife, where I'm like, oh, ooni, you got to have somewhere we're in Japantown in San Francisco doing you've been there many times.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, a sushi restaurant in Japantown has ooni, of course it's going to be good. And Bridget's like, I've got a couple minutes. So I asked the guy, can you get an ooni out here? He's like, yeah, okay. So he brings it out. Bridget puts it in her mouth and grabs the napkin, like, not for me. And I tasted mine. It was like, this is not good. This is off. So that was the third ooni. So it does. There's probably a Larry and Denise book that I will spit into a napkin. But, for now, I'm quite enjoying it. So.
It is something that is bittersweet, that they, I don't know who the artist is that's comparable, but like to flame out so bright with your so presumptively named book one of both series. This is Teen Archeologist book one. Antigua was both one, but to be so ambitious and to leave us wanting so much more. But it is so great that this book did find its way into our hands, because it is, you can't buy it. We had one guy out there who I think had an eBay alert set up, managed to track it down, and thankfully, he was willing to help us out here. But to have this languishing out there for so long when it's this good would have been such a shame.
Was this fella a teen archaeologist who uncovered this find? That would be, utter perfection, of course.
Right, yes. He did. He did some digital archaeology, I think.
Yes.
And, right off the bat, this is a tricky book to, when we name these documents or name this file we're recording right now, sometimes it's easy. Like, Ready Player One, Conor.wave, or
right.
Starlight.wave. Archaeologists. Big pain in the ass to have to spell. But also, I don't want a bunch of files named like teenagers.wave on my computer. when we make this happened to me not 20 minutes ago when I post these things on social media. I posted the introduction episode, to the regular feeds, and I went on to like Bing image generator, which to use some AI images, and I was like a bunch of teenagers exploring a pyramid, and it's like we have to review this. Oh my god, I've managed. I'm on a flagged list already just for trying to post this book.
Archaeologist as a word can go to hell along with rhythm.
Yes.
Just stop that.
And Mopek is not
spelled like diarrhea too, which I'm constantly having to type into documents. It's not fair.
Well, they might be. The teenagers might be ending up with some of that based on their water consumption, but we're getting ahead of ourselves here.
Yeah.
Well, I think we should dive into it. We've got a lot to cover, and it's only in 2 chapters too that we've covered in this section, but a lot happens, and a lot of our favorite trademarks of these authors. If you haven't listened to Antigua, I'd say go and listen to those 6 or 7 episodes before you delve into any of this. But if this is your first episode, it's going to be of the podcast. It's going to be a good introduction to what this journey of ours is all about here.
It is amazing, and I did most of my reading just yesterday. I like to, have it fresh in my mind. So I cram it all together. Usually I just do the one reading. And when I started out, I was like, oh boy. I mean, the prose is familiar, but it just seems a little flat. And then like 3 pages in, kaboom. All right, here we go. Larry and Denise do not disappoint. It was spectacular. So yeah, let's dive in.
Well, you dive in and you get Rebecca dancing in ballet clothes, and you get the first sarcastically in the second sentence of the book. Rebecca's brother Thomas came into the room, pushed her, and said sarcastically, "Rebecca, you can't dance." So she can dance? Like, how is that? You can't dance. Like, we're going to get a lot of them. I think there were 79 sarcasticallys in the course of the book.
Oh, I was going to test you on that, but you searched as well.
Yes,
Good. I'm glad we got the same number. I'm using I forget what my reader is. Office Writer, I think. LibreOffice Writer. 79 is correct.
They're being watched by Ms. Pendleton, and Rebecca threatens Thomas that Miss Pendleton's going to fly in here on her witch's broom and zap you with her witch's wand, you jerk. And I don't know if that's zapping someone into a tree or not.
That's incredible. Like right away. It's right away. And the tree is, unfortunately, they looked around, Larry and Denise, in their minds, like, is there a way we could have a tree in the living room where she's dancing around? Like, that probably isn't going to work. All right. No tree for this zap.
Sure. Didn't we determine in the last book that when they were riding the witch's wand, they were not doing the standard between the legs, but they were rather like surfing it on it or something? Wasn't that something that we like?
Well, I think we had to come up with it ourselves. I don't remember that they ever settled that.
Okay. All right.
They didn't say like, but that was the assumption. I think otherwise that would be too weird.
It dawned on us that like, wait a second, they're not riding this the way that we think they are.
Yeah, like a witch's broom. No, they're going 2 feet on it like a surfboard,
Yes.
like a hoverboard, I guess. Yeah. Okay.
And this was my first, yes, with 19 exclamation marks after it. They said upstairs they have a third sibling. In their brother Billy's messing room, he was listening to music and blogging on his computer. So that's delightful. It is just a hallmark of when these were written. I think this was 2008, I think, or 2008 and 2007. I think they got these books out within a year of each other. And this is a good
Oh,
time.
man, just a little bit later, and Billy would have been vlogging in his messy room. Dang.
But that is, Billy had a live journal or something. It's period specific. And this is a good opportunity to, I think, discuss the websites that someone sent us. There's a archive.org, the Wayback Machine, had captured the book websites that they launched for Antigua and Archeologists. I just sent them to you again so they can be fresh in your mind. But they are...
I forgot about those.
They are perfect. They are... I don't know how to describe them other than someone who didn't know how to make a website got their hand on a website creator in 2008 and created this. The one for Antigua has an enormous red fantasy dragon that is on the page the whole way it scrolls with horrible yellow text, and then these like blingy GIFs.
The Jessica Alba one is making.
So here,
what does this have to do?
Well, I'll tell you what it has to do. So Denise created a website. It has like some fantasy elements, fantasy in the Tolkien sense of it. That has like it's playing music the whole time too. They take a while to load, but there is like a.
Oh, mine's probably not loading. Also, a lot of my JPEGs aren't loading. I mean, this is the Wayback Machine.
Yes, it doesn't load them all, but there is some like techno playing in the background.
Okay.
And what Denise has done there, she adds stuff that like is a picture of a kitten in a top hat holding a rose that says "A little wish for a perfect day," or it has like a beating heart or like a cat dancing, "Enjoy your Monday" type of things. And then Larry has come in and added in. There is a blingy GIF of Jessica Alba that says Jessica Alba, and then her jewelry is sparkling. There is there's no other way to describe it than a horny Tinkerbell who's like two-piece bikini is sparkling. She's holding out an L for Larry, I think. And then there is my favorite one is. Where is this woman? It's it is a like anime purple-haired girl wearing a another bikini. You can see the strap of it through her like torn pants jeans, and she's looking very sort of upset and sad. It says, "I'm bummed. Weekend is over."
Well, Larry also added same an anime girl shaking back and forth, a sparkly hat, long, shiny hair, rolled up shorts, big boots, construction boots, shaking giant earrings at you and eyeshadow and huge lasses. Have a totally hip hump day, says Larry's.
Yes. Yeah.
Anime.
Right below that is another
tween to you.
Yes, it is a sort of a girl that would be in a martini glass in like a 60s sort of thing, and she's on a pogo stick bouncing through to say "Have a great day." So this is in theory what they were doing to be like, oh, I should buy this book. That's this looks like a good fantasy novel. Is these hump day gifs, and I should buy.
Is that who's just below the one you just described, Martini Girl? Is that Mary J. Blige winking at me and saying, "Enjoy your Monday"?
I think it might be. Yeah.
Okay.
There's
Let's
Party
Well, I
Cinco
appreciate
de
that
Mayo.
from Mary J. Thanks.
So that was what these people thought of blogging back in the day.
Yes.
So I imagine this is what their brother Billy is doing up in his bedroom.
Yes. And so into his bedroom, because someone knocks on his window, was his best friend Brittany, who is 16 years old and a gymnast. Did Super Constitution, didn't we have a gymnast? Was she a gymnast?
I think she might have been.
So that was one of her. I think that was just in a list of her many talents.
Oh, yeah. Fighter pilot and gymnast.
Yes. Okay.
I also just want to point
Brittany
out that
the gymnast.
it has been 180 words and 5 characters have been introduced. So,
the way they introduce characters, they say their name, how old they are, and then some minor trait of theirs
that may or may not ever come up again. But
right.
But this is so we get this one too. Mrs. Pendleton sort of came in and was like, "Stop fighting," but then Brittany provides us with some major character color here. She says, "What are you doing here?" She says, "I wanted to see you without having to deal with Mrs. Pendleton. That woman is strange. She reminds me of a 19th century widow from Scotland offering tea and cookies for guests while at the same time poisoning children in the basement.
That was my first, like, we're going to be okay here. This is good.
She reminds her of that. Like, that's a trope that she's just sort of, like, encountered a lot before, and then Mrs. Pendleton reminds her of that.
Well, I immediately thought, like, okay, obviously Miss Pendleton is from the opposing archaeologists, and it's a Mrs. Doubtfire thing. Like, hello, dearie. Would you like some cookies?
Yeah, she's what's Indiana Jones' rival?
Oh,
the guy that eats
Belloc.
the fly. Yeah,
Belloc.
it's Belloc as Mrs. Doubtfire.
Yes. I'll take that from you, dearie.
But Billy defends her. She says, Miss Pendleton's cool. She's been watching us since we were babies, and nothing like that has ever happened. She's not that strange. Well, and so we get this amazing transition. Well, she is to me. Hey, when are your parents coming back from Egypt? I thought they were coming back yesterday. They got delayed. They'll be home today.
Brittany's very weird, though, because so he's sitting there adding Mary J. Blige, linking and saying, to his blog. And she's just sitting there. She climbed up because she's a gymnast and knocked on the window, and he let her in because she's his best friend. This is what she says in one running monologue. What will you be doing this summer? I thought you and I could hang out. Maybe we could start a band like we said. That'll be cool. He's doing the embed thing.
Yeah.
Did you know that Ellen had a crush on you? Rumor has it that she likes you and is hoping you'll ask her out on a date. You are handsome and a hot guy.
Please focus, Brittany.
He slams a Red Bull like, what? What did you say? What?
Yeah. The character of Billy is yet to be developed, but his siblings seem to think he's a huge nerd because he's doing all this blogging. I guess that was a signifier of nerd. But Brittany seems to think he's quite handsome and a hot guy. So that's character 6 is Ellen, and he's not interested. But he's in a band, but she won't let it go. She says, "Do you think Ellen is pretty?" She's all right. "Do you think I'm pretty?" Brittany, I don't see you like that. You're my best friend. You're like one of the guys. So, shaping up to potentially be the Timothy of this story.
Yeah.
I think there's another Timothy later. However, I'm not sure if Brittany is going to be a long-lived character in this one. Not because she dies, but just I think they move on.
We do get a little sense of, this is Billy right here. Let me run down the characters just for everyone. We'll meet them. Rebecca's 15, Thomas is 16, Billy's 17. Okay, so 17 and he's blogging. He says to her, bye, Brittany. Be careful climbing down. I don't want to have to call rescue to come pick your body up off the ground. Very funny. I'll see you tomorrow. What is it funny? I mean, Billy.
It's sarcastic.
It is sarcastic. It doesn't get labeled as such. Not one of the 79. But that seemed dark.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to scrape your crushed body. Family Guy, arm broken behind your back.
Slight twitching. Like Mrs. The Scottish woman is Mrs. Pendleton is going to drag her body down to the basement with all the other ones she's got hidden down there.
She has a tarp at the ready.
I do want to point out that Brittany did come into the room and started playing the drums as well. She says, "I want to be the new drummer in our new band." When we started, I've been playing my brother's drums while he's away at college. What he doesn't know won't hurt me. So this is 3 drummers, I think, so far, because Billy is a drummer. Brittany is an aspiring drummer. Brittany's brother, who's at college, is also a drummer. And we do get more drummers.
Oh, man, the drumming. Yes. I forgot to keep track of the drummers because they come up so thick and heavy coming up. But the drummers. So is that Larry or Denise? I don't know.
Drumming?
Which one
Larry,
is the
Larry probably knows the
enthusiast?
name of Jimmy Buffett's studio and touring drummer.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
I also thought that what he
Are
does.
you talking 78 to 83? Or because that was a different drummer.
Finn's tour. I was there. Yep. I went to see him in Tampa, and then was down to Pensacola, but I got thrown out of the Pensacola show. But his dick, he was not in the Margarita spirit. I'll tell you that.
What year did we buy that we bought the thing and we followed the band. What year was that? That was 84, Larry.
Yeah.
84. Oh, that was a blur to me. Oh, I remember 84.
Yeah, we were supposed to go to Paris, Larry. That was our fun to go to Paris. And you came home with a Sprinter van. But then, so that as Brittany leaves, we get a all-timer transition, which you had, had to text me about. You were so concerned.
I was certain. I had just like, I was obviously reading the ebook and erased a giant part of the thing. Yes. But no, go ahead.
Brittany has left. She says, "I'll see you tomorrow." She said as she climbed out the window and down the tree. Anthony and Elizabeth had traveled the world from Antarctica to India to Africa to Egypt and more. They had. That's how it goes to Africa to Egypt and more. They had traveled all over the world searching for lost treasures. And though they had encountered many dangers in their time, this exhibition to Egypt was their most dangerous yet. Anthony was thankful that his wife wasn't hurt badly.
What? Where? How? What is happening?
They're coming fast and furious. He realized just how close he came to losing her. He grabbed a gold statue and held it up in the air. The statue, made of pure gold, was over 5,000 years old and priceless. It was the gold statue of an ancient pharaoh. Both he and Elizabeth knew that this particular pharaoh must have been a man of significant wealth and had great power. So it's not one of those pharaohs that just sort of like ran a vacuum repair shop in town or something.
Hey, Pharaoh, I got a canister back here. Do you still fix those? Cord's not retracting. Hang on, I got to hold court here.
Yeah.
I got to watch.
I'll get to it in like 5 weeks. 5 weeks? Nobody is in here. Who gets their vacuum repaired anymore? It's like,
I got to meet with Caesar. It's like a whole thing. It's like a power struggle. I don't know.
Man, Pharaoh Bakutep's not doing so well these days. He's man, I saw him pawning his rod of Ra the other day.
I hear he's not doing well. You accidentally edited the text for them, I think.
Oh,
I don't think this is both he and Elizabeth both knew. Just wanted to let you know that's the kind of prose I'm going to call out quite a bit.
Yeah, good. Thank you. That's Larry speak.
Yes.
But then we get this. So you just read that sentence. Both he and Anthony both he and Elizabeth
both knew.
Okay. So that's Anthony and Elizabeth.
Anthony and Elizabeth traveled all over the world. Yeah.
Anthony yelled out, "For you, we almost lost our lives. For you, I almost lost my wife. I hope the curators at the museum in Britain appreciate what it took to find you." Elizabeth, Richard, and the other hunters and archaeologists left Egypt and headed for home. Who is Richard?
Who the hell is Richard? I have it with 7 question marks.
Let me see how many I put. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I had 8. I was that
okay.
Good, so I was slightly more intrigued. And then the next sentence: when Anthony and Elizabeth finally made it home, their 2 youngest teens ran out of their mansion, so they live in a mansion, and ran over to their parents. So Richard is Anthony.
There's no other conclusion to be made.
So they had competing names going for this character. Little Ellis tug of war. They gave it a go. Larry gave it a go with Richard, but they settled on Anthony.
As I texted you, pretty sure that he came home. It was 2 for 1 Marg night or whatever at the place that's in that strip mall. Next to the computer repair shop, next to that Pharaoh's vacuum place.
Zany Allen's Margarita Bar.
And he was like, "Oh, God, Richards, he's a good guy. And he bought like the last round. I'm gonna put him in our book." And then he did a search and replace on Anthony because he doesn't know.
Larry, the book is done.
And he's like, shut up. Just, okay, find all. And then he misclicked and he only found one by one. Oh, okay, replace. And then his head went down on the keyboard and that was the end of it. And then he forgot that he had started to change all the Anthonys to Richard, so that was it.
If I put the book, he's got a pinball machine in his garage. His wife lets him keep it out there, and he said I could come over and play it. You don't even have to put quarters in it.
She's so cool. She's pretty hot. I told her tonight. She she was into it.
I bet she was just like that girl who's so upset the weekend's over. Because, like, yeah, when she bends over, you could totally see she's wearing some sexy underwear.
But then the madness comes quick. So this is just all start. So there's Richard / Anthony is the dad, and the mom is Elizabeth. They're home. They're at a mansion in England with their 3 kids who absolutely loathe each other.
Yeah, and I didn't realize when he said, the British Museum will pay for this. I was like, oh, sure, they were known for just raiding these things. I didn't realize they actually lived in England. So all these kids had accents as this first whole thing, as they're being like,
that is not.
He's upstairs blogging, don't you know?
Yes, they're all doing Dick Van Dyke
in their mansion.
Yes, but here's the madness. So Mrs. Pendleton. Oh, dearie, it was no bother at all. Here, Mrs. Pendleton, here's your check. Oh, my, thank you, Elizabeth. That'll be just fine. Well, I better be going. Good night. She left the Turner home. Several months passed. Anthony shouted, kids, come down here at once. What? What just happened? They dismissed the babysitter, and then several months passed?
Several months passed, and...
What?
I just said, hell yeah. That's all we need. And so this is like a story. I mean, I guess they wanted to do, Indiana Jones starts in the middle of a, he's finding the idol type of thing. Like, so they got that to sort of establish that they're treasure hunters in a paragraph. I mean, you almost died. It's like, okay, sure. That would have been cool to see. And also that these kids are at home and teenagers and doing teenage things. But he does start by saying, get down here because, we will get to it, but because they're going to go back to Africa. Yeah. Or as the Ellises are concerned, to Africa for the first time because they were just in Egypt.
Yes.
But I just wanted to, when they did get home, Mrs. Pendleton said, the sitter, Ms. Pendleton said, "Oh my, Mrs. Turner, you're home." Which is what I say whenever someone comes home. And it's like, they give it a couple sentences. Kids were fine. They were a little rambunctious, but what kids aren't? And it's like, I almost died on this trip. I was gone for weeks and I almost died. But she just says, here's your check. Why is your arm broken? And it looks like
does she walk in like, wow, you are trussed up from your sternum all the way to your hips.
Rare scorpion venom nearly did me in. Yeah.
There's a lot of necrotic tissue under this bandage. We think it's probably going to eat all the way through my intestines.
Here's your check. Yeah. But yeah, so Anthony calls the kids down to the library. He says Anthony walked back into the library and waited for his teenagers to come downstairs. This is where I realized that the teenagers in the Ellis's mind are like Poochie, where they're just their interest starts to go to blogging if you don't remind them that there are other teenagers in this book every now and then.
Right.
And the teenagers, though, they do not act like teenagers unless you are have never encountered one before. It says, "You're not perfect either, Rebecca. Why do you have to blame me whenever something goes wrong?" said Thomas. "I blame you because it's usually your fault when things go wrong, Thomas." "It is not. It is too." And I wondered if they just added, the leading one to every teenager's age. There's, because that's much more like a 5 and 6 year old than it is a 15 and 16 year old, kids who can drive level of discourse.
I mean, especially the frequency with which they repeat the same things. I don't know. I was, I think, slightly self-aware when I was 16. I don't really like this whole being a teenager thing. But if I don't, with my brothers, I wasn't like, "Shut up, you big butt turd. I hope you get poop all over your butt face." And then the second time you hear yourself saying that, yeah, I better stop that. Yeah. I am getting to be, I'm a teenager. I'm not 12 anymore. But they do it frequently. And what is it? So it's sarcastically and then angrily.
Okay. Is the
other right? They spit back at each other and then dryly. Sometimes they're dry, teens.
Yes. With their dry wit.
With their archness. But okay, so here's the timeline. They call them down and they get in the fights and they say what they're going to do. And then Thomas looked at his sister angrily and said, "Very funny, Rebecca. I bet if we fed you to the lions, they would just spit you back out." The Turner family arrived in Africa a few weeks later on a brave. What is happening? The timelines. It's the middle of like a very stupid teen fight. So every time they happen, I'm like, well, where are they going now?
Well, they're going to Africa, and I hoped
they
more
flew
than
to China. Like, okay.
I wanted more than anything for it never to clarify where in Africa we were, because that would have been perfect. And we'll get into it. The fact that they do try to clarify that is just fantastic, because the Ellises, I mean, the dad gave them a book about Africa, a quote, to read since they were going to Africa. The Ellises did not pick up a book about Africa.
No, they didn't even go to Facts King. They didn't even bother.
This is a good elephantism, though, because they get to Africa. The next morning, Anthony kept his promise and took them on an African safari. They saw buffalo, elephants, giraffes, lions, baboons, and more.
Yes. I just had a pleading interrobang. Oh, come on, you can't name them.
Yeah. A variety of African safari animals, as Ernest Cline would say. And that unfortunately gets more specific. It does say that they're in Lagos, Nigeria.
Yes.
Which is good. It's good for our purposes. It would have been fine if they never did that and just kept it vague. But it's in Lagos.
But immediately, Babatunde, is that how you're pronouncing that?
That's as far as I know, yes.
Okay. Immediately, Babatunde walks up, and the parents know him. Yeah. So he's just like strolling around Lagos, I guess. And they're like, hey, I know that guy. There he is. There's Babatunde.
Yeah.
And he says, he's like, oh, hey, do you... he's playing the piano.
The thumb piano, like the kalimba, I think it is.
Yeah, so they're like, hey, what is that? And Babatunde, says, it is a small hand instrument that you carry around in your hands, he replied. It's small. Oh, I thought it was the size of a piano because you're carrying it. And very easy to play. You want to try? Babatunde purchased 3 thumb pianos for the teens and handed each of them.
Wow.
So they're in a market? They're in like a thumb piano market?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Is that...
Yeah, it's a bustling Nigerian port market where there's, colorful vendors of all these things. Like, it's where Indiana Jones said, it's a date, you eat them type of thing.
Okay. All right. So, I just was not expecting that they were in this.
But yeah.
Where he just turned and bought 3 thumb pianos. And the parents are just like looking on going, uh-huh. Oh, let me pay you back for those. No, I got these. I'm just made of money to buy thumb pianos.
Yes. Yeah, a small hand instrument. Oh, so do we like string it around our neck and walk around with it? You carry it around in your hands, idiots. I also want to point out, I did some, the most basic facts. I didn't go to Facts King, but about Lagos. City of 15 million people. So they've immediately ran into a guy they know there in a colorful market. Just worth keeping in mind. It's the second largest city in Africa.
Sure.
So they ran into their dear old friend who they've known for decades. He visited them in England before the 2 younger kids were even born.
Right.
All right. So I'm sure you have this marked, but this is where I almost just like. Do you remember how I reacted the day that I walked into the house in Nashville and you guys told me that Jared Fogle had been arrested that day?
Yes,
it was sort of just like
certainly that was a big
whistling and walking around the room like
it's
just
a
like
tentpole moment.
It's just like this can't be happening. This can't be happening. That's how I felt. Just like I had to when I read this sentence. The teens practiced playing on the thumb pianos right along with Babatunde. As they walked, Babatunde said, "This country of ours, Africa, is famous for music." I honestly, it's if you were reading anyone else's book, if that was real or fanfic, you'd be like, come on, like stop trying so hard. It can't be possible that someone could do that. But hey, it's right there. It's one of the best things I've ever read. It's like Miss Teen South Carolina,
it is.
And the Iraq and...
Yeah, you just have to keep reading it and going back. Like, yep, that's it. I had to. When I read that, I had to check the actual PDF scan to make sure I wasn't slandering the optical capture of this. Yep, there it is. Did you look up all the kinds of fantastic music that are played here?
I didn't.
I have not heard of High Life.
Okay.
I knew Juju, of course. Fuji, I don't know.
What is Juju?
I mean, Juju's just African, drumming music and chanting, right?
Okay. I didn't know.
I don't mean to be so. I don't know.
Juju,
I'm sure there.
Of course. I mean, is that where the expression "bad juju" comes from?
I guess I'm sure there are subtleties to it. I don't mean to.
I didn't look them up, but it is. I guess I was wrong. They must have cracked a book or something. Or either that, or if Jimmy Buffett released a Fuji album, like after Paul Simon went to South Africa and planted
I'm
the
sure he did.
Soto sound.
Yes. Babatunde, they're walking through the market. So he's got a lot to say to them. It's been a while since he's seen him, but Babatunde, please, one question at a time. Babatunde said, "Hey, I have an idea. Please allow me to take all of you to a concert tonight so the teens can hear all kinds of music and see different types of dance. I promise you will all have a wonderful time. Hey, are you hungry?" No, wait, we're still discussing the concert. Would all of you like to have lunch with me and my wife? Just could you give us a second? We're still discussing letting our 15, 16, and 17-year-old go to a Lagos concert.
Right.
There will be 11 million people there. I don't know.
Yeah, it is sensory overload from our, I presume, pastoral English mansion to get here and be buying thumb pianos all of a sudden. Sure. Yeah, people do that. The mom did that when they got home, just 8 questions in a row. It's can we answer one at a time? So they agree, but they also not to go along with the questions. They say that the Ellises have that way of repeating the same thing, and we thought they were trying to decide which one they were going to be the final version of. But it says it's the kids' first night trip to Nigeria. Elizabeth and I have brought the children to this wonderful country to learn about ancient civilizations. This is a learning experience for them. We want them to learn about other cultures. They follow that up by serving them fufu and kenki for dinner. And I thought that was maybe they took a trip and to write off for tax purposes, just came back with some menu items and justified the whole thing.
Yeah, it's a pretty starchy meal. Aren't both of them? One is cassava and the other is cornmeal. Uh-huh. So I don't know. It's just a very starchy meal.
You object to that?
No, I just noted that. Wasn't there any meat or anything?
they have a pretty long journey coming up, so they might need a carbo load for this activity they're about to undertake.
Here's what Babatunde asked the kids, though, and I thought this is. This is obviously fiction, right? They're teenagers. Mm-hmm. Hey, kids, would you like to hear me play my Kora? I will sing my family's history for you. Billy, Thomas, and Rebecca said with excitement, "Yes, please." Do you guys got Wi-Fi here?
Yeah,
start posting my JPEGs.
What is Brittany up to? I'm so I miss her. I need to know what she had for lunch today and if she's playing the drums anymore. That would be me. I on family vacations and as a high schooler, I was where is the internet cafe? I want to just go and email someone or find out if we got our class schedule for the next school year.
Babatunde brings out his Kora, plucks one note of it and is Day one of my family's history. And the teens are oh my God.
Yeah, if these teens are sort of moody, My Immortal style, just rolling their eyes. Because they did. He said, let's sit down for this meal. And the first thing Thomas said was, "I'm not going to eat this. What is this strange stuff?" It's you dick.
Wow, yeah. In a strange country. They never told him that. But he did it in a British accent, so it probably sounded very nice.
"I'm not going to eat this. What is this strange stuff?" But he did.
Wait, is he a chimney sweep? Is that I'm not going to eat this stuff.
What is this strange stuff, you see? Fufu.
Fufu and kanka, you see.
But Babatunde demonstrates dipping the fufu into the stew. So your little objection has been negated immediately.
Nah. All right. Look it up. Go to Facts King, everyone. Prove me wrong.
But so the teens listened to the choir. He sang the Sister of His Ancestors. After Jabril, he sang the song of his ancestors. After Jabril finished performing, so yeah, hey Tolkien, you can take note. You can cut out 3-page songs from your book.
Right. You don't need to put it in there.
I mean, I would have loved to see that. And I'm realizing right now that's probably something we should have looked up on the dark web is Jabril's song of his ancestors.
Sure.
Although, that might be something Larry needs to write and not us. That's
yeah, true.
And then he says, after he finished performing, Thomas asked, "Sir, have you ever heard of any lost ancient civilizations?" He asked that. That was on his mind the whole time.
Oh, but he's a griot, right? And which is the family history. Yeah.
Okay. Oh,
ancient. And then he says Jabril got very serious. He asked slowly, "Ancient civilizations, huh?" Which, of course, was that in Wayne's World or something?
That's how I knew about it. Yeah.
Okay. Yes. It was a commercial from like the early 70s that ran for like 12 years.
Wow.
And it was a Chinese laundry, and a woman comes in like, "How do you get my shirt so white?" And he's like, "Ancient Chinese secret." This can't be happening.
So that was Wayne's World just pretty much parodied it exactly, because then the wife ruins it. She goes, "We need more Calgon," and that's what the white woman who came in there says, right?
Yeah, she turns and goes, "Ancient Chinese secret, huh?" And he does the like comic shrug, like, "Oh, you caught me."
So that's how Jabril's tone was. Although one listener pointed out, I think it was Mike, said, how slowly did he ask that 3-word sentence? But yes, he does know about an ancient civilization. It's deep within a jungle, somewhere near the Nile River. Nile River length. Any estimates about how that might be? Just to
the Nile River.
Yeah. Because this is somewhere near the Nile River, so just
yeah, I didn't look up the length of it, but later we have a specific thing about the Nile, so I did look up. It does. I forgot it is one that flows north
to south,
and
flows north from the
into the Mediterranean. How long is the Nile? It's one of the obviously is it?
Yeah, 4,130 miles.
Okay,
so that's
the Amazon is longer, right? It goes through the whole.
Oh man, I don't know. I lost on Jeopardy. That's not something.
Okay, it's okay. Yeah, sorry. Those are things we should have at the tip of our tongue.
But so that's like saying, that's somewhere near America,
right?
That's except a bigger territory. Somewhere near the vicinity of Mexico, Canada, and America.
Right. It's so they were somewhere in the Pacific Ocean.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and he says no one's ever found the city, but I have a map of the approximate location of the city.
Did you immediately go to Guy from Harlem on that one? Nobody has seen them, but they do exist.
Nobody's ever seen it.
Yes, it's a line from a movie we did for Riff Tracks where a guy talks about a guy in deep terms and says nobody knows, nobody's ever seen it.
And speaking of the lost African civilization, that guy from Harlem had a woman who became an African princess.
Oh yes, that comes up. There's an African goddess, and I thought again of that.
Oh, nice.
My favorite moment.
She's in the guy from Harlem's apartments, and he says, "How did you become an African princess?" She goes, "That's a very interesting story." Skipping the film, and so that's what happened.
That's my favorite thing ever. I think I replayed it 100 times, and then I looked for the lost footage.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know that I ever found it, but it couldn't have been more than like 5 seconds of film that got snipped out.
So we go on to learn that this approximate location of the city is, of course, the exact location with hyper-specific directions about what you're supposed to do once you find this. But let's move along. Babatunde this is Jabril, Babatunde's father. They also have a daughter named Samira, who is 17 years old.
Yes.
He says, hey, one day I'll give you this map, but not now. I promise when you're old enough. You're only 17 years old, and I've only been in a few pyramids. The true gauge of life experience.
I just wrote, she had me beat by a mile. By 17, I had not been in any pyramids. You know what? I still haven't been in any pyramids.
Maybe I've been in the Luxor in Las Vegas.
Oh,
Possibly.
there you go.
It's a little off the strip, but I might have stayed there once. So yeah, take that, Samira. And then he goes on to say, "This is you lack the knowledge and experience it would take to go along with on such an adventure. It is simply too dangerous. You are too young for such a responsibility." And the crystal skull might have been improved if Indiana Jones had said that to Shia LaBeouf. Possibly that could have saved the movie. But I mean, so where's the pyramid thing coming from? That's just pure. I don't know. Like, I don't think Indiana Jones went to a pyramid, but that's just what they think these treasure hunters do, is go to pyramids.
Are there pyramids around Lagos? I don't know.
Oh, so yeah, I looked them up. I did look them up.
Okay.
Yes. There are technically some pyramids in Nigeria.
Okay.
I believe there's like 10 of them. They're mud, 27 feet in diameter. And they're not what you have in mind when you are thinking of pyramids.
Yes. You're not in them if they're 27.
Correct. They are like mounds somewhere, and these teenagers would go to them and be like, roll their eyes so hard that they would like retract back like into their throats. Like,
yeah, it's like when I went to years ago. I went to Ireland and we stayed there for a while, like over a month. And I would go to the kids like, "Hey, today we're going to go see a stone. One of the ancient stones that is, 3000 BC or something." Like, wow, amazing. So you drive, you find the place. It takes like 2 hours. You have lunch. You get there. You're like, where's the stone? All of a sudden, a guy on his tractor, like 100 yards away, is like, "Are you looking for the stone?" "It's right there." And he just points, and it's like literally a stone in a field. And there's like a plaque, like lamely nailed to a tree. Like, there it is, 3,000. So that's okay. So pyramid, stone, same. Think of that parallel.
Maybe wait till our kids had a few more decades of life experience and they'll appreciate this a bit more.
Yes.
He drives behind his tractor an hour later. "Nope, it was over there. Sorry."
Wrong stone. Well, we looked at it about the same way. So.
Yeah. That's one I, drank after prom on. So that's pretty notable too.
I just want to give you some pros to bask in. So they do go to the concert. You probably have stuff from that.
Okay.
Later that night, Babatunde took everyone to the concert. There were a lot of people walking to the concert that night. There were over 500 African residents and tourists from all over the world at the concert. There were performers from all parts of Africa playing at the concert. So just bask in the Larry and Denise pros there, ladies and gentlemen.
Reminding you where you are over and over again. Reminding you how old people are, what event you're currently at, where the residents, what continent they're from. They're African residents.
Our country, Africa. Is very
but they meet, it turns out Samira is also a drummer. That's Babatunde's daughter.
Yes.
And then they meet their friend Ayo, who was 17, who played the African drums. So that is 4 different drummers in the book, I believe. Oh, no, sorry, 5. Samira,
because Samira
played the drums well. Ayo plays the African drums. No word which type of drums Samira plays. Brittany, who plays her brother's drums, and Brittany's brother, the implied drummer, who's a
yes.
And it does say they meet some other people, like they have a band. Dakari, who is 20, played the Buddy, who was 19, played the marimbas. Dakari, who was 20, I'm losing interest, Ellis's, who played the African bells. Jumani, who was 18, who played African shakers. And the only female in the group, Imani, who was 19, who also played African drums. Do they call them shakers and drums there? Is it just, or do they specify that they are in Africa and with every instrument they play?
I don't know. But at that point, I was primed to laugh, so I did laugh out loud at the very next sentence, because she goes up to she's meeting these are the people in the band. "Hey, there you are, Samara." So, like, surprised she remembered her name. Usually, "there you are" means I can't remember your name. Jumana said excitedly, "Are you hanging out here at the concert tonight?" "We didn't know that you were going to hang out here at the concert tonight with us, girl." "Hey, Samara," Jumani replied. "Are you hanging out here tonight?" What's happening? Someone hit them upside the head with one of those drumsticks. Yeah. They're stuck in a loop.
Yes. Oh, man. It's how teens talk. That's just what they do. It's the adults have trouble understanding this teen slang, or maybe it's just because it is like aliens who have studied humans for a couple weeks and come down trying to replicate us.
Hanging out here tonight
At the concert, which is where we walked to.
Yes, where did Larry hear that phrase?
Well, here it comes. Jumani smiled and said, "So you're from England? What are you doing all the way over here in Africa, hanging around a bunch of clowns like us?" Everyone laughed. And it is funny. It's not the reason they think it's funny. They're hanging around, different than hanging out, all the way over here in Africa, which is where you describe yourself if you were in Lagos. You just keep, it's like a nesting doll, You have Lagos. You probably have the neighborhood where the concert is, Lagos, Nigeria, Africa. Egypt's not part of that, but I also wondered what a Nigerian conception of a clown is, because they use it in the sense of, those clowns in Congress.
Right.
But
right.
It obviously differs, I'm sure, from, a Parisian clown is different than Bozo the clown type of thing. So I'm very curious what he means, what Jumani means when he says we are a bunch of clowns.
Right. Clowns could be, like murder clowns or something, like serial killers. What are you doing hanging around with the but then the drumming starts.
Yes.
Hey, you guys know I can hang, but Billy and I want to borrow your drums. How about it, guys? Well, come on, girl. Again, teen talk.
Teenagers.
Responded Imani with noted enthusiasm. Noted? Yeah. Who noted it?
Jumani? I don't know. Another one of the clowns?
I don't know. Sit yourself down here.
Raises his eyebrow.
That was quite a bit of enthusiasm. Let me write that down. Sit yourself down here and take my drums and show me what you can do. Don't hold back. No punctuation here, by the way. Hey, Billy, you can play my drums, Io said. He sat down and played Io's drums as Samira played Imani's drums. The group of musicians played with them. Imani danced with Io as Billy, Samira, and the other musicians played the drums only, right?
Yes.
Okay. No thumb pianos?
And probably not. You do carry them in their hands. If they used my suggestion and carried them with a loop around your neck, it might have been easier to transport them.
Sure. Yes.
But,
yeah.
I'd like to point out that they are at a concert. The band must be pretty annoyed at these teens who have started drumming in the audience.
The guy on the bass is like backing up and annoyingly playing his bass. Like, is this how long is this going to take?
Yeah. Hey, can we get some of those Altamont security guards maybe out there to take care of this nonsense?
I'm looking out in the crowd. I see over 500 African residents and tourists from all over the world here at the concert.
It is like when someone comes to town, it's like, so anybody here? Like, how you doing, Virginia? And the crowd goes nuts. Type of thing. I one time isolated in Paul Simon's concert in the park. He every time the only living boy in New York is mentioned, the crowd goes nuts. When he says counting the car on the New Jersey Turnpike, people go nuts. It's so embarrassing.
Oh God!
I think they really sweeten it on the mix though, but it is very funny. Anyone here from Africa tonight? Yes, it's a huge continent. What on earth? I'd also like to point out that I had to look. Since drumming played such a big role in these first 10,000 words, this will be the last time that drums are mentioned in the book.
What?
You might think they were setting something up. The Lost Civilization of the Mopek has their own, polyrhythms that they teach them, or we repel the ancient evil spirit with these noted rhythms, but I don't know. Not important.
Here's the tonal changes again. So we have this concert. It was all fun, and everyone was dancing around to the drums. What was it? Juju and whatever. The next day, the teens met up with Samara. Oh, well, they had just seen her the night before. They didn't know it, but they were about to embark on a dangerous adventure that would put all of their lives in danger. Oh, the repetition of the words dangerous and danger are so just like sweet ooni to my mouth.
It was a dangerous adventure. Sounds kind of dangerous. That would put all of their lives in danger. I was right. It sounded dangerous. And lest you think they're gonna like spare you any like they're not gonna beat around the bush here. It says it would put all their lives in danger. Samira led them toward the jungle. Billy asked, "Where are we going, Samira?" Thomas said sarcastically, "Mom told us to stay in the town square." It's like, well, if you said that sarcastically, then Mom should be fine with you heading, out of the town square.
Right.
Anyway, and also
sarcasm means the opposite of what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So just picture a city of 15 million people. How close up to this do you think the jungle abuts, So
it's hard to say. Yeah, when does that stop? Yeah.
I just have trouble imagining that they are, we're in the town square where they met Samira, and now they're being led toward the jungle. It seems like there's probably a bit of sprawl. They're not, they didn't get in a cab and say, take us to the preserve or whatever. They are, they're walking. You're walking out of 42nd Street in New York toward the jungle is sort of what you have to imagine here.
So this is a bit of confusion starts here for me.
Okay.
Where they start talking, they pile over one another about how much they're going to get punished if they go to try to find this civilization. If we could do this, we could be grounded for the rest of our lives. We'll never see outside ever again. We could very well be grounded until we're 75 years old. Like, whoa!
Yeah.
He sees his own death. He knows I'm only going to live. But
He's
then,
the old guy in 2001 still in his own bed blogging.
Yes. But this is what you said. I didn't get this. I hate to admit this because I usually don't agree with anything she says, but Rebecca is right. Thomas said sarcastically. So, what?
Rebecca is right.
Oh, I hate to admit this because I usually don't. Like, what does that mean?
Yeah, it's are teens sarcastic? As a general thing, sure. At times it can be quite sarcastic, but it's not how they are constantly talking. It's not a universal thing. Once again, like aliens.
It's not, your teen doesn't walk down and like root around for chips and stand there with a refrigerator open and like, what are you looking for? I just want something to eat. Okay, that's not sarcastic. The kid does want something to eat. He might be saying it sort of pissily or
flat,
something,
like
but not sarcastic.
Annoyed,
that would mean the
sure.
opposite. Like, yes, you are looking for something to eat. So the punishment then they talk about, because they all take turns talking about the 15, 16, and 17-year-old all take turns going like, oh, you think we're going to be punished? No, we're going to be punished so hard. Oh, this is what, well, it looks like we're the only ones who are going to be on punishment for the rest of our lives. And that was a phrase they repeat.
Oh, nice.
Do you know that one? On punishment?
No, I mean, maybe people you would say like on restriction, but like, grounded was pretty common. I don't know. Could be British.
Maybe it's, I'm sorry. Well, it looks like we're not the only ones who are going to be on punishment for the rest of our lives. Said Thomas sarcastically. Damn it! I didn't do it sarcastically.
It hits you at the end. It's a Ron Burgundy.
Yeah. You don't want to be on punishment. You get up there sweeping the chimneys on punishment. Get some of that old black lung.
But then they drop this bomb on us for Billy, the 17-year-old who is a hot guy that
totally hot.
Who was into him? Mallory or I don't remember. Tiffany was into him. We would be under punishment.
Under.
Levels of punishment here. These also stack like nesting dolls. On punishment, under punishment. Under punishment for so long that our social lives would all be destroyed. I am 17 years old. I would like to maybe start dating. So Billy's pushing up against his senior prom and is thinking, I ought to probably go on a date at one of these points. It'd be weird if I got to college without having never been on a date. So yeah, I mean, Rebecca and Thomas are pretty hard on Billy. It seems like it might be kind of earned. He's a pretty big nerd.
Well, it's going to be hard to date what with these half gloves, carrying around this chimney brush all the time, covered in soot.
Yeah. Hope my date doesn't mind my left hand stump. Lost it to a chimney rat. These big nasty varmints down there in the chimney.
Got some always dancing around with me mates singing songs from musicals from the 50s. It's a bit off-putting to the 17-year-olds, frankly.
I'll bring back some of them juju rhythms to dance around with on the rooftops.
Once I make that kenki, is that what it is?
It's hard to pronounce in all accents. I don't know.
Those are the 17-year-olds.
17.
But then Rebecca says it doesn't matter if Thomas gets locked up on punishment. He already has no social life, and no girl would dare to date such a loser as him anyway. When you think about it, he really has nothing to use. Shut up, Rebecca, Thomas yelled angrily. It's like these are not just sort of like, DJ and Stephanie Tanner, doing some friendly bickering. They seem to really loathe each other.
They hate each other. My sons, you grow up with I had two boys. They fought, right? Mm-hmm. Kids fight. That's just what it is. I guess when they were, so they went to college together, and they shared a friend group, which, is nice. Your kids are hanging out. One of their friends told me one time that they got into like a kid fight, in college, where everyone was like, whoa, okay, I gotta go. Like, shut up, you son of a, punching each other, pulling shirts over heads and knocking them to the ground. Like, we're in our 20s. We should probably stop doing this.
No, you don't understand. This is something we did, 10 years ago. It's been a while.
Smooth their shirts out, pour another scotch. Sorry about that.
Don't know what happened. Wives are watching them.
Yes.
But that's them. They loathe each other, and the rage is hair trigger. It could be just something as simple as seeing a new animal causes them to just lash out in new, vile ways to each other.
Usually shut up, cut it out, like angrily, sarcastically, and then the third going like, you two, stop it. It's over the top. It happens, every page.
Yeah, and no matter the circumstance, near-death scenarios, still just like, but I'll bury you, you son of a bitch, like, as they're like fleeing from something that wants to kill them.
I will cut your head off and bury it far away from your torso so they never identify the body,
said the 16-year-old girl.
Yes.
So essentially what they're doing is, what's her name? Samira has stolen the map that her grandfather said, I won't give it to you. You're too young. You haven't been in enough pyramids yet. But she said, I have the map now. And he held on to it in hopes of us one day finding the kingdom of the Mopek. It was his dream. I won't let his dream to go to someone else. And I was just like, it's his dream that we discover this civilization and expose them to several millennia worth of germs in the span of one day. This is just a civilization that has never seen the outside world. So that's just, let that be in the back of your mind this whole time.
Yes.
And then she has told them, I have several backpacks full of food, water, flashlights, and batteries, Samira said, surprisingly. We have everything we need in them. Here, I have one for each of us.
So she approached them, right? Was it early morning or when was it? It was just the next day.
The next day, yeah.
Okay. So they're like, the parents are standing by. What are you guys talking about? Oh, nothing. It's those backpacks look pretty stuffed. Like you're, no, it's fine.
You already seem to have abandoned those hand pianos that Mr. Babatunde bought you. I knew we shouldn't have bought you instruments. That's always you're not going to practice that at all. You want it just because you see it, and you're not going to use it.
It's the trumpet thing all over again. I lost $350 on that on the market. Okay.
And so Samira says, I know this exact area of the Nile River this map is referring to. It's right at the pyramid of the Mopeks. So the Mopeks have their own pyramid, and it's well known. And this is where I just thought it was worth breaking down, like, what this journey they're talking about is. So they're going to the Nile River. It's unspecified where, based on the cover, which has a pharaoh sarcophagus on it, or the King Tut thing you're thinking of when you think of a pharaoh.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
That they're heading to Egypt, but like it could be it's anywhere on the Nile River. Oh man, I had the exact statistics somewhere, but I think it's 20. No, it's a long way away. Okay, so the closest part that I found, and several readers wrote into this as well, if you're going pretty much east as the crow flies, you'll end up at the Nile River in Juba, South Sudan. That is
from Lagos.
From Lagos. That is a journey of 2,663 miles.
Good Lord.
You will cross through Cameroon, war-torn Central African Republic, and South Sudan.
Okay.
Google, estimates this will not be possibly how it does, but a 68-hour car trip.
Wow.
That also involves like ferries and stuff. You're crossing borders. I'm sure there's checkpoints and everything like that. So that's to get to the South Sudan part of the Nile, let alone Egypt, which is another 1,000 miles north probably. So that's their backpacks have some water in them. When we go out hiking, like me and Lauren, 3 liters of water probably. We go through that in 5 hours, I would say, on a strenuous hike.
Sure.
They have not indicated that they have any sort of water filter or anything like that. So just to keep in mind, that's the level of preparation they have as they set out for now.
But okay, but they bring it to the kids, and the kids are just like hanging out, I guess. Hitting things with sticks or whatever. Like, hey guys, do you want to go discover an ancient civilization? Mm-hmm. And they're like, no, we'll be on punishment. We can't do it. I was like, well, we just go to this pyramid of the Mopex, which is, something that they all know about. And like you say, do you think it is? Do they mean that it's in Egypt? They can't, right?
Just look at the cover. That's certain.
Okay, it does look Egypt,
but the Egypt has played a prominent role so far and continues to as not part of Africa, its own sort of thing. Which it's way up there. It doesn't it's not necessarily.
It's far away. Okay,
the Maine of Africa.
Sure. But Samira is honest with them. She says, this trip is going to be very dangerous. There will be lions, wildebeests, wild dogs, and more, just to name a few.
More, just to name a few.
Just to name a few.
Is an amazing turn of phrase.
Yeah.
And at least the list sort of peters out, if we're being honest. It's lions, oh dear. Wildebeest, wild dogs, all right. Are the wild dogs crying out in the night? I'm not sure. They also, someone earlier mentioned, I think it was Rebecca, was nervous about the tigers in Africa as well, which...
okay. It's a Monty Python joke.
Oh,
there.
yeah, it's right first. Thomas, all right, let Rebecca go first. If any lions or tigers are out there, they can eat her first. While they feast on her, the rest of us will have enough time to get away. Shut up, Thomas! Shut up! You shut up, Rebecca! No, you shut up, Thomas! Rebecca shouted. And at that moment, 2 of Samira's friends came up. It was Akita, who was 16, and Adam, who was 17. They were brother and sister born in Nigeria. They grew up with Samira. So these guys are, she explains to them, I've got a map to the civilization of the Mopek. We want you to find the ancient civilization, Adam said with excitement. Take us with you. Even if we don't find it, I still want to go. Samira, we have been with you since we were children. We will be with you now. Come on, let's stop wasting time. Let's go. So it sounds like I skipped over some stuff there. I did skip over maybe 2 extra sentences. Adam and Akita have walked up, encountered them with some backpacks on, and said, yes, let's go find an ancient civilization. They blew off whatever they had scheduled that day to walk the 3,000 miles to the Pyramid of the Mopek.
And did this remind you of, is it Ghost House? What's his name? Dacre?
Jim Dalen.
Not Dacre. Jim Dalen. Hi, Atika and Adam, Samira said. I want you to meet 3 new British friends of mine. This is Billy, Thomas, and Rebecca. That was a separate sentence. They're from England. I got this map from my grandfather. It is an ancient map of a lost African civilization. It shows how to find the lost kingdom of the Mopek. My sister's here, too.
Yeah, she's out back. I'm Samira. You're like,
also, you maybe want to, keep this on the down low. We're going to go find it. You just walk it up to people like, hey, juice vendor in the middle of the jungle, we're going to find a lost civilization. Really? Slit throat, seal map.
Yeah, drums his fingers together and follows them the rest of the way. that they're down. They said, stop wasting time. Let's go. The teens all agreed. They started out on their journey together, and then they are seeing a flock of 100 flamingos within 3 sentences of leaving. Rebecca says, "Look at all the birds," Rebecca said with excitement. So I challenge anyone to say that sentence with excitement. But then the hair trigger rage kicks in.
Oh, God, yes.
I'll read Rebecca, and you can read Thomas. They have such skin.
On the okay. I was skipping down to the scorpion, but go ahead.
Oh, we'll do them both. Yeah. They have such skinny legs and long necks. Rebecca replied with amusement.
Yeah, Rebecca. Their legs and necks are as skinny as yours are.
Look who's talking about skinny neck and legs, she said angrily. Thomas, your legs are so skinny they look like toothpicks.
God damn it, no they don't!
Yes, they do, you mother...
I've got you!
Next, they came along a rather funny-looking creature. That's a scorpion. And it says, look at all the legs on that thing, Rebecca said. Centipedes eat roaches and flies, Samira said. Ew, gross, that's disgusting.
Oh, wait, I lost my place.
Oh,
there it is. Okay. Rebecca, you're gross and disgusting. You eat roaches and flies, too.
I do not, Thomas, you shut up! You are a big roach!
Samira laughed. Oh, come on. Stop hitting her with that huge rock on the skull. We better get going.
The teens continue their journey in search of the lost civilization, which is a perfect sentence, I think.
Oh, my God.
Then they see some wildebeests. Rebecca says it looks like a bull on a diet, and Thomas says sarcastically, Rebecca, you look like a bull on a diet. And so I was like, okay, that was funny. Let's knock this off. We're going to see this every time we pass an animal. Then they pass.
That's where I actually said, is this going to last the whole book?
They pass by a herd of elephants. So how close is that to the biggest metropolis in Western Africa?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, when did they run into their friends, by the way?
That was still in close to the. They said one of them said, "Mom told us not to leave the town square." So I assume they were still in the town square when that happened.
Oh, okay. So they immediately walked up to the town square. Like, how big is the town square?
Yeah,
I mean, it's a big town square, but yeah,
sure.
Okay.
I mean,
so they see
there's probably more than one town square. I'm guessing in the city of 15 million.
Probably,
it's the village green. And I looked up because they see all these amazing animals because they go on to see lions and some apes and stuff. And you unfortunately, some of these can be found in Nigeria because I was like, are these all like in a completely different part of Africa? There's like a game reserve that might have a few of these, but like they're not something that's going to be like, the way that you see deer just driving around any given road in America.
Right.
That you do not just encounter elephants as you walk outside of Lagos.
They encounter the elephants, by the way, and then they say after the fact, like, wow, look at those elephants. They sure are big. Yes, indeed. That one's huge. It must weigh a ton, several tons. Good thing we're so far away from them. Just remind you, oh, they're far away from them. I thought they were like petting them.
I'm glad the animals we are seeing are far enough away for us all all to be safe. And like in any other book, you might consider that foreshadowing, but I really, I don't think that's going to happen. And then they encounter lions, and it says they were too far away from the teens to know they were spying on them. The teens ducked down anyway, so the lions couldn't see them. It just reminds me of when we're doing a movie and someone sort of like crouches over maybe like 8 inches as they're sneaking around, quote, so that they won't be seen.
Yes. This entire section reminded me of like, a kid's menu at a cheap theme restaurant, an African themed restaurant or something.
Yeah.
Like, draw a crayon to, now you've seen the elephants.
Right.
Now you've seen the lions.
No effort.
Crouch down or they'll see you.
Yeah, the Jungle Cruise narrator.
Yeah. Here come your pancakes, Thomas.
These are the wildebeest pancakes. I've got a lion burger. And got the gorilla shake for someone, the laziest.
Who asked for the extra bananas to make it more African?
Yeah, the waiter sounds kind of sarcastic, man.
Yeah. He's a teen. Yeah, this is incredible. But then we get then baboon.
Mm-hmm. They see
real quick sighting of a baboon.
Which
And
is like the
then-
one animal that if you're going to call someone like ugly and make fun of your sister, you call them a baboon.
Yes.
And they ignore it. There are no baboon-based insults.
He just lets that one pass. Looks at his sister, looks back like, yeah, not worth it. I'll probably have another chance. And sure enough, Gordle shows up.
Amazing.
Oh, so happy.
So the baboon was eating fruit, and then they see a gorilla on a ledge who looks as though she's about to attack the teens. So the 6 teens back up slowly and walked away from the gorillas. The large gorilla in front of them didn't try to attack them. She looked as though she was about to attack them, but she didn't. She only cared about protecting her baby gorilla, and she did not want to leave her baby gorilla alone.
What was the baby gorilla's name?
Boo Boo.
Boo. And what was the lady gorilla's name?
Oh, it wasn't
Gertie?
Gordita, but it was something like that.
Gertie or Gurgle?
It was something.
Okay.
Could have been Girdle. I mean, is she feeding it cow's milk? We'll never know.
Dang. Material left out. So then they realize quickly that they're hunted by the lions.
Yes.
So I didn't know that that's how lions work. So this is the female lions because they're the ones that hunt the prey, right?
Okay, sure. Yep. That's a fact that Ellis is probably know for sure.
Okay. So they run because they realize they're hunted. Samira yelled, "The lion is getting closer. We will have to jump over the waterfall." I think TLC would have something to say about that. To escape them, Rebecca yelled, "What? We have to do what? No way, I'm not jumping." We have no time to waste. The teens could hear the lion roaring as it got closer to them. Is that what they do for a stealthy kid? Anyway, they jump into... Here's what I wanted to get to. The teens, they jump into the river. Mm-hmm. The teens ended up on the shore at the bottom of the river. As they got back their strength, one by one, they stood up. I honestly don't know what this means. What is the bottom of the river?
I think I can help you. First of all...
The end of the river? Did they make it to the Mediterranean
The end
Sea?
or the terminus, yeah, I think is what they meant by that. Like
the bottom? So they traversed the entire Nile River?
So first of all, yes, it says the lion chased them. It had no intentions on giving up the hunt for the humans. The teens were finally at the Nile River, so that's how they got there. This is what they're jumping into the waterfall of, the Nile River. And then I think the same way that a child on drawing a map would draw a river that starts and ends someplace, they ended at the bottom. And as you pointed out earlier, the Nile does flow south to north, so everything is wrong. It's a
They're at the
Mediterranean.
Mediterranean. They're in the Mediterranean Sea.
That's
where the Nile terminates.
If you asked Larry to describe where the Nile ends, it is at the Sphinx, I'm guessing, and there are pyramids on either side of it, and there's a guy on a camel. So, that is where the Nile ends. Schnappy is probably there too.
But the bottom of the river is a term that everyone knows.
That's where you go to drown. Yes,
you drown at the bottom of. Where'd you find him? I found his body at the bottom of the river.
Well, but I will just tell you this: they all became scared, but they had to continue fighting to survive. None of them wanted to drown, so that's how you don't end up on the bottom of the river, is you just desire not to drown.
By the way, Rebecca screamed all the way down into the river. So they jumped over the waterfalls. They were chasing waterfalls. They jumped over them. She screamed all the way down. Then they traversed, what did you say, 2,600 miles? Was it?
Yeah,
the Nile.
Yep. Well, to get to the Nile in South Sudan, right?
Okay.
To get to the bottom of the Nile, that's even going to be
4,200. Well, if they're in the middle of it, let's call it 2,000 miles. I don't know. It's just ballpark, back of the envelope, 2,000 miles. Okay.
I did look it up. It was if just to put it in perspective, if you try to go, Miami to Seattle, that's less of a distance than they've traveled.
Yes.
So the entire width of the United States.
What's the most you can isn't it 2,200 is the most you can travel on as the crow flies in America?
Oh, just getting on
from tip to tip,
I-40 or something.
Yes, contiguously, not counting, of course, the Hawaii.
Right, on a freeway that you travel at 80 miles an hour on, it would take you over 3 days. So
yes.
So, yes, they've wandered at the bottom of the river. Rebecca then reveals it was weird that she was screaming the whole way because she says, "I'm a better swimmer than all of you. I'm the captain of the swim team at school." And that's how she survived. She didn't want to drown, and she's the captain of the swim team.
That was so strange. She was laughing. laughing at the, like, we were chased by a lion, jumped over a waterfall, splashed into the Nile River. There's a lot of dangers in the Nile.
Yep.
I think many, many, many people lose their lives every year in the Nile River. But they came to the bottom of it and come out, and they can't find her. And she comes out going,
Yeah.
like, what do you find so funny about this?
I have to imagine someone swallowed a lot of water. They're doing CPR or something like that. Who knows what they've been drinking over the
How
course
many
of the journey.
candiroos are in Billy's, up his urethra?
I mean, and like, malaria shots. Like, what did you?
Oh,
my
God.
mom went on a safari a decade ago. You had to get so many
Oh, you
things
have to get
before
a
you could
ton.
travel there, so you don't just like drop dead the moment you set off the plane.
Oh, and if they got any water in their nose, the flesh-eating, the brain-eating virus or whatever, or bacteria, I mean.
Well, I mean, they did think of this though, because Thomas has leeches on his back, and he's very annoyed by this. He says, Samira says, they got on you when you were in the water. You are the host. They want your blood. And Thomas yelled, well, they can't have it. It's my blood, and I'm not sharing it. There's only enough blood for me, and I'm keeping it. Which I guess is supposed to, be a joke. Get those slithery, slimy things off me, the little vampires. And this is either, one, they've either watched Stand By Me, or two, like, Larry passed out on the floating dock at a lake after a case of Corona or something, and woke up with those on him and came back and was like, oh man, you got to check it out. T-Bone, you got to pull him off me. It happened again.
But they're on his shirt.
True. Yes. Not the brightest leeches.
I was looking at this going, wait, because there's a whole discussion of leeches. Oh, they're all over your back, the leeches. Like, when did he strip his shirt? Like, okay. Then they go like, no, they were attached to Thomas's shirt. I am not a biologist. I do not study leeches, but I have had many leeches on my body from swimming in rivers and whatnot. I don't think they attach to your shirt.
Yeah, they use teeth to grab you, right? They bite
They
into
have
you.
to suction onto your skin. I don't think a shirt allows that. I could be wrong. But I'm just saying I don't think that leeches go through your shirt. So,
well,
someone prove me wrong.
yeah.
Anyway.
I mean, it took us this long. We've been talking for an hour and 20 minutes. We finally found something this book gets wrong. So that is credit to the authors.
So they go, they're like, okay, so they get the leeches off, right?
Uh-huh.
And then they crawl. The teens saw a gigantic snake. Oh, they go to the cave with all the bats.
Sure.
Because they get hunted by hunters.
Hunters with spears, which is
Hunters with spears.
collar tugging territory every time that happens.
Okay. So movie from the 30s. Gotcha. Okay. So they go to a cave and the bats fly out.
Because it's also a movie from the 30s.
Which is fantastic when it says like the bats fly out and fly out. It's an amazing sentence. But anyway, the teens saw
the bats started to fly around in the cave in a fury and then flew out of the cave.
Yes. The teens saw a gigantic snake crawling over the cave and heading for the hunters. The snake was large enough to swallow a man whole and was over 21 feet long. So in addition to his size, he was pretty big as well.
And just the super specific, he was over 21 feet long is why put that extra foot on there?
What does crawling over the cave mean?
I mean, once again, like you're imagining a cave in a child's drawing, and it's probably crawling up the arc of the opening of it. like a mouse hole in a Garfield cartoon. It's crawling along the top of that arch.
Towards the hunters?
Heading for the hunters, I guess.
So you talk about the African music being the thing where, delighted you. Like where you're whistling the whole day.
Pepping my step. Yeah.
Yeah, you look like
Tipping my cap to ladies on
a
the
black
street.
and white cartoon,
Yes.
like boop, 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 boop. Hello, ladies. Sometimes I'm that way when, I don't know, I love tennis, and when one of my players wins, like, oh, he beat that guy who's evil. For a couple hours, I feel pretty good. I'm like, that has nothing to do with me. Why do I attach my ego to it? Who cares?
A ray of sunshine in your day.
Yeah, feeling good. Great. I can rest the day. No, the snake attack made me feel that way. And if you will allow me, can I just read it?
I have the whole thing highlighted, so please do.
Okay. The snake slithered right up to the man that had fallen and swallowed him whole. The snake went after another hunter. The hunter was so terrified that he just stood in place. He was too scared to move. He tried to run away, but his legs were frozen in place. The snake slithered right up to the man. The snake wrapped its long body completely around the man so that no one could see him. Then the snake squeezed the man very tightly until he couldn't breathe anymore. What? Just try to picture that. Oh my God.
It's incredible. So the snake ate a whole man.
Ate a whole human and
squeezed the
wrapped himself and is like, Dave, God, that's your balls right near my face.
Yeah, you can see the outline of him like in a Far Side cartoon.
Yes.
And, snakes, when they eat the whole deer, a process takes maybe a day to envelop it. And then the snake digests it for another couple weeks. It doesn't
They
eat
sit
for
there.
months
They're
later.
completely vulnerable to anything that happens.
You would not have believed that in real or fanfic in a million years.
No, I would have said, come on, no.
But it does
Even Larry's not going to write that. He's seen snake attacks before.
I thought he went to see Anaconda at the Dollar Theater with a couple of his buddies. They snuck in some tall boy Coronas. Yeah. And it came. It was like, this movie was just great. It's a great movie. It's got a great. There's a cast. That J-Lo is.
It was spot on. That Owen Wilson, his weird. He's got a weird nose, but. Oh, shoot. Oh, my cargo pants. I got a bottle grenade in my left. You guys want another one of these?
God, to eat that. That one.
Let me crack this one. Man. Don't let it drop. It'll roll all the way to the front.
Larry had fond. I think the Super Bowl where J-Lo and Shakira performed was probably one of the highlights of Larry's life that year.
This is that one from that snake movie that I love.
Oh man, yeah, she's 50. Oh wow, they don't make them like that anymore.
So I'm surprised that Larry didn't have the snake growl a little before he swallow the guy.
There's literally snakes out there this big that are eating this guy. And then he said, Billy says, let's get out of here before those hunters or that gigantic creature comes back. The teens slowly left the cave and started to walk through the jungle as far away from the hunters and snake as they could, and to continue searching for the pyramid of the Mopex. Suddenly, they walked right up to a strange pyramid. It was the pyramid of the Mopex. They finally made it. Yeah, finally. They took their damn sweet time traversing Africa to get to this secret pyramid.
They suddenly walked up to a pyramid was one of my favorite. Once again. So good.
And then it says the teens walked into the strange pyramid where thousands of tourists and curious archaeologists had traveled before. So it's a major tourist attraction.
So suddenly walking up to it, they had already been sold packets of dried crickets and stuff.
300
yards away, they were already getting hassled
globe,
some beads.
Yeah.
100 kopecks. I don't know, whatever. 50, 30, 20.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Samira teaches him a lesson in haggling. That's got to happen. But I was like, this is a major tourist attraction. How come people aren't getting eaten by 21-foot snakes outside of the Louvre or something? Or Dollywood. Yeah, I don't know. They went there on their honeymoon, and someone one of the couple got eaten by a snake, and the other one was wrapped up in its coils. It's a tragedy.
Look at that snake crawling over that cave, honey. Yeah, that's the thing that happens.
It's coming right for us. I guess I should stay here. And so they go in there, and there was nothing unusual to see that Samira, Akita, and Adam hadn't seen before, because they have been in a few pyramids. Not that many.
Yeah,
a few. Thomas walked over to one of the walls and admired the beautiful ancient hieroglyphic writing, another key that we might be in Egypt. I don't know if hieroglyphics specifically are not something that other civilizations do. He leaned up against the wall, and then suddenly the wall mysteriously opened up, and a secret passageway deep into the pyramid was revealed. So that's how they discovered this thing that has laid undiscovered for thousands of years, as it's been examined by tourists and other countless archaeologists.
Yes, it is a Abbott and Costello moment of, oh boy, I'm scared of those snakes getting me. Oh, let me just lean here and take my pith helmet off. Hey, dummy, did you see what just happened? The door just opened. And then right after that, you get this, whoa, Thomas yelled out. He jumped back in fear. The other teens ran over to the opening in wall, not the wall. Yep. And then we get this, where does it go, Billy? Rebecca asked curiously. What? Does Billy just go, you like hammer on her head? What are you talking about? How the hell should I know work?
Or
I haven't been in any pyramid.
Does it lead to the can? I don't know. Hopefully it leads to the lost civilization of the Motep, Samira said with hope. And then it says, Thomas led the way through the opening that led deep into the pyramid in an area that no one had ever been before. I assume at least a couple of Mopek have probably been there before.
Someone built
someone
it.
constructed this. And then the teens finally made it to the chamber that led down to the land of the Mopek. Again, finally. You've just drawn this thing out for like 4 pages? Brother.
And then this is one of my, I'm going to bring this up a lot, savor the prose moment.
Okay.
Look, Atika yelled. There is a huge... So she's still yelling. So keep that in your mind. I won't yell.
Yeah, they probably should be trying to keep this on the DL as they, as other tourists are like going on their audio tour of the pyramid and wondering what they're up to.
Right. Those big the lanyards in their ear kind of a thing.
Tour guide with flags. Yeah, holding them up. Do not go down to that secret wall. That is not where our tour goes. That was an extra. That cost extra.
Look, Atika yelled. There is a huge sarcophagus over there in the corner. Maybe that sarcophagus can give us a clue that will lead us to the lost land we are in search of. The teens rushed over to the gigantic sarcophagus.
That's an Egyptian word. It sure sounds like something we should be using here.
Larry's like, just let me circle that. Let's just put that in a few more times. Like, we already know we're going to a sarcophagus. I know
like
it's a cool word.
Yeah.
It's not a lot of people know what it is, but they'll know now.
The sarcophagus was 10 times larger than all the other sarcophagi in the pyramid. That's a high wire act there. Pluralize it. No archaeologist had ever seen a sarcophagus that big before. And then Adam says they got to crack it open. I'm not really sure how he knew that, but then they look at the map, and the map says, the map shows this man going over to the wall over there. He bends down and places his hand over the painting of the hand right on the wall, and the sarcophagus opens up. So the map is also like an in-flight safety brochure, or like an IKEA
it's got those little,
yep. So that's good to know.
It's got little red X's of things you shouldn't do.
Yes. Do not lick the sarcophagus.
Oh, here it is. I thought it was in the cave. Here's the repetition. This is a new innovation for the Ellises, right? Is that their last name? Suddenly, the beautiful sarcophagus of the Mopek started to open up slowly. So suddenly and slowly. Okay. And here we go. This is it. I looked it up. This is actually how it is in the book. And hundreds of bats flew out of the chamber. Hundreds of bats flew out and flew out.
Amazing. That's poetry. That's like one of those images where it's like, I love Paris in the springtime, and your mind just glosses over the extra word.
Yep. Wow.
Amazing. So that's the second thing bats have flown out of in the span of 2 pages.
Yes, the bats. We're in a 30s movie with Abbott and Costello, just so you know.
And so they start climbing down because there are huge, thick vines leading down the sarcophagus. And he moved very slowly, and he was nervous and didn't want to fall to his death. So they don't want to drown or fall there to the death. That's good to know. That's not every teen is like that, so you got to specify.
Yeah, exactly.
And then they encounter a huge plant that Rebecca goes to touch, but it slams shut and almost bit her hand off.
Yes.
And she says, "What is that thing?" And Samira says, "It's a Venus flytrap." And it's like, come on, you can make up any animal you want here. Like, it's their innovation is the Venus flytraps are just extra big here.
Yep, big. It could snap a hand off.
And then, no reason to beat around the bush here. The teens looked through the jungle into an opening and couldn't believe what they were seeing. Rebecca asked, "Billy, what is that? It's huge." Samira said, It's I can't believe what we are seeing, her. Billy responded in disbelief. "She's a dinosaur." And then they just had a slight discussion about that. They start bickering pretty quickly. "Don't be silly, Thomas. She's a plant eater. She doesn't eat meat." Rebecca starts sarcastically. "Thomas, if you like, we could carry you right over there and feed you to her. We wouldn't miss you one bit." "Shut up, Rebecca!" Thomas.
Shut up, Rebecca! God, I hate you so much.
So they've entered a lost civilization, seen dinosaurs that exist, and they are still reverting to their old. One of them won't share the Wiimote with the other one type of behavior.
And I can't believe that they didn't do a Spielberg moment of, could you just wait for the dinosaur? Like, can we see them, looking later in the book, just a little bit later? But no, they look. They do the camera panning up them as their heads look towards the sky. Nope, they did it right away. Lost civilization, dinosaur, yes. Over. Okay,
perfect.
And then, all right, so then they're surrounded by the Mopex, and this does not speak well of me, but I did. I think, was my first laugh out loud. This is a new innovation of the Ellises, and it comes up again very quickly, and it made me laugh. I'm sorry.
Just remember, the Mopex are also warriors with sharp spears pointed at them.
Yes.
Just to set the stage.
One of them threw a spear that flew past the teens and landed right into the bark. That's a weird description. But it landed right into the bark. So they were trying to spear them in the face, but instead they surrounded them with spears for some reason. And so then they surround them, and they're like, "I want to go home." I'm like, no, you're surrounded.
Yeah.
The head warrior walked over to Billy, but he didn't say a word to him. I'm sorry. This does not speak well of
It's
me.
hilarious.
He just slapped him across the face so hard that Billy fell down to the ground. Rebecca began to cry. I'm sorry. It's not nice of me to laugh.
It's so earned. It's so earned.
With the Ellises, what was going on? Oh wow. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm composed again.
That's about as good as it gets. Wordlessly. They don't have any. They have no. Do this, and they say why, and then they slap them. That's just their first instinct.
It's just so hard. I think that it's so hard. All right, that's kind of the end of the chapter.
Yeah, it says they were forced back to their feet by the Mopek warriors, and then through the jungle of the land of the Mopek, right to the kingdom of their king. And that is all the first chapter. That
was the first chapter.
Incredible.
Oh my
So
God.
much happened. Oh man.
I guess we got to be quicker on the chapter 2.
Chapter 2 is shorter, fortunately, but we do have to do some real or fanfic before we get there. All right, so this is Real or Fanfic, the segment where our beloved Patreon listeners send in their own fanfic or real passages from later in Antigua. A lot of people have already read further in Antigua. Sorry, not Antigua, Mopek. It's cut from the same cloth. But Mike is going to try to guess which of them are real and which of them are fanfic. It can be all real or all fanfic or a combination. Antigua was a book you had great success with. That was where you had your legendary 14 out of 15 bonus run.
Yeah.
But
I don't anticipate that being repeated.
All bets are off. If you had read the snake, if you had read the boy slapping, I don't think you would have, you couldn't, there were no tells in that. But so yeah, if you want to join in on the fun, patreon.com/372pages. We do a lot of fun stuff there. You've been trying to solve Encyclopedia Brown mysteries. You get every episode early. It's a good group of people. Go check it out. Here is number 1. One of the dinosaurs flew down and landed on the ground. The creature started walking across the kingdom like a man. It was huge. Walking straight up on its 2 hind legs, the creature stretched upwards to over 14 feet tall. Several warriors and hunters ran up to the gigantic creature and tried to destroy it with their spears and poisonous darts. Nothing they did worked. The creature was too powerful and too fast for them. The creature was trying to bite the men with its sharp teeth. The men continued to fight the creature. Suddenly, the second flying dinosaur swooped down from the sky, picked up one of the warriors with its talons, and carried him away. Both dinosaurs flew away across the jungle to the island where the dinosaurs lived.
Okay. Indistinguishable, but the only reason warriors and hunters. I'm going to say fanfic.
Okay.
Just because of that.
Interesting. Here's number 2. The instructor, Aderbowale, walked away from the group of teenagers. The teens broke up into groups and started talking about what their instructor had just said to them. Donovan, Sean, Shazar, Kobe, and Shamar got together to talk. Edith and Victoria walked up to them. I think the master instructor is pleased with our progress in the class so far, Edith said. Don't beat yourself up about it, Shazar, Sean said. You're not the only one who lost the challenge. Donovan lost too. Kobe and Shazar asked with excitement. You did, Donovan? You lost the challenge also? No, I didn't lose. What do you mean, Donovan? Sean asked with confusion. Sean cheated. He caused me to trip and then I dropped my sword. You're a liar, Donovan, Sean shouted. Don't be a sore loser. I'll show you a sore loser, Donovan yelled back as he shoved Sean, causing him to fall to the ground. Sean got up and jumped on Donovan. The 2 young men started fighting in the courtyard behind the school with 28 of their classmates watching. Everyone gathered around them and started cheering them on. Kobe, Shamar, Shazar, Edith, and Victoria were not cheering them on.
What? Donovan and Sean?
Shaun.
In Mopac?
Edith and Victoria.
Edith and Victoria.
And also Shazar, Shazaar.
Oh,
Kobe,
okay.
Coby.
So they bring people back, at least in this person's mind. I don't know. Why not? Let's just say it's real.
All right. Number 3. Rebecca, what do you have there? Billy said. That is not a sword. I'm glad your eyes are so good, Billy, Rebecca said sarcastically. We would be in trouble if you tried to swing an egg during a fight. Rebecca was holding an enormous egg. It was shaped like a big pill, and the surface was leathery. Rebecca, you are the one who can't tell the difference between a sword and an egg, Thomas said sarcastically. Where did you find that? Put it back before you get attacked by a giant chicken. Thomas, you are the one who is chicken. While you were hiding here, I was sneaking this egg out of Isabella's room. Billy, Thomas, Adam, and Akita all gasped. Rebecca, why did you steal from Isabella? Akita said worriedly. She is a dangerous and evil woman. What if she wants revenge? She already wants revenge, Rebecca said. Remember what the maid in ebony said? I think she is brewing an evil spell in that golden cauldron of hers, but she can't complete it if she doesn't have all the ingredients. That is why I took the egg. As long as we have it, we are safe. Just then, there was a loud cracking noise. The teens looked down to see a scaly foot emerging from the egg. The egg was hatching. Maybe Isabella cannot complete her evil spell, but we are not safe at all, Billy shouted. That is a dinosaur egg!
Boy, oh boy. Well, she is evil, we learn coming up. But I'll say fanfic.
Okay. Number 4. Billy thought hard about what would be their next move. He had to think carefully because they did not want to make matters worse. Soon all of the other teens were thinking too. They had to make a plan and they had to do it before the Sphinx woke up. Now Rebecca was not sure if looking for this lost civilization of the Mopex was a wise choice after all. She wanted to be back in England, and now she knew that she was homesick. Thomas was still thinking hard. He sat down on the lounge chair next to Billy. That is all you were good for, Thomas, Rebecca said sarcastically. All you can do is lounge. It was true that Thomas did like sitting more than standing. Shut up, Rebecca. You are lazier than I am. Rebecca stood looking angry and sad. Stop it, you two. Billy got up from his lounge chair and paced back and forth across the room. It was then that he realized the room was getting smaller. Thomas had noticed it too. You might not like moving, Thomas, but the walls, they are moving.
That's good. I think that someone noted watched our Charlie Chan, where he insulted all of the guys who like to sit a lot. So we're, are you sitting again? Like, is that a bad thing? Don't people sit a lot?
You got time to lean, you got time to clean.
Yes. So I'm going to say fanfic.
All right. And number 5, the last one. Oh, sorry, that was 3. Oh, shit.
No, that was 4.
4, okay. Well, I have 6 today.
Oh, what?
Yeah. Shoot. Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
This is 5. Sorry, I'm just doing this in real time. Isabella smiled and asked sarcastically, "Are there any other children hiding around here?" I wonder if there are any other children hiding around here. Let's see. She pointed her finger at a nearby tree. The tree disappeared, and all you could see was a puff of smoke. Then she pointed her finger at a nearby bush. The bush disappeared. All you could see was a puff of smoke. She said out loud, "I know there are other children hiding out here. You might as well come out. I will find you. You shall never escape from me. If you continue to hide, you shall make me angry, and that will make matters worse for you," Isabella yelled. "Come out now!" Kareem ran from behind the wheelbarrow and tried to escape. He wasn't fast enough. As he ran through the garden, Isabella pointed her finger at him. He disappeared. A couple of hours passed. The 9 children's families began looking for them. Tex ran to the palace to notify the guards that 9 children in the land of the Mopek were missing. He ran up to the entrance of the palace. He was frantic. 2 guards were standing at the entrance with spears in their hands. The 2 warriors stood at attention as Tex approached the palace. The guard Abdullah yelled, "Stop at once. Who are you?" "Get out of my way, guard," Tex yelled. "Our children are missing." The Mopek warrior Raymond yelled, "Whose children are missing?"
I'm going to wheelbarrow. I'm going to say that's fanfic.
Did that come up in Antigua?
Yes, it did. Wheelbarrow.
This is number 6, the last one. Once on the island, Elizabeth screamed. Anthony ran over to her and asked, "What?" Elizabeth pointed into the bushes that led into the jungle area of the dark island. 5 gigantic Komodo-looking dragons came out of the bushes and advanced towards them. The dragons were 15 feet long and weighed over 700 pounds. They were dark green in color and had scales all over their bodies like fish. They had white horns coming out of the back of their necks, their backs, and from the top of their heads. They had long tails that they could swing and knock a man off his feet. They had long tongues that slithered in and out of their mouths. Anthony yelled with concern for his wife, "Elizabeth, get behind us." She backed up behind the men for her protection. One of the dragons grabbed one of the Mopek warriors and carried him away. The man screamed as he was being carried away. Another Komodo-looking dragon swung their powerful tail and knocked 4 of the Mopek warriors into the jungle. All 4 of the men landed right into some trees and fell to the ground. The other 2 Komodo-looking dragons got tired of being poked with spears, so they wandered back into the jungle.
Okay, that's a honey trap, all right. A lot of stuff there to bite on. I mean, I have to say fanfic.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay. All right, here we go. Here's number 1. Number 1 was the dinosaur flew and landed and ate a guy and picked up warriors and carried it back to the island where the dinosaurs lived. You said fanfic. That is real from later in the book.
Oh, come on.
Submitted by John. I like that the dinosaurs were, what was it, 14 feet, or was that a different thing? Anyway.
Komodo dragons.
Komodo-like dragons.
Yes.
Number 2 is, this was the instructor with Donovan, Sean, Shazar, Kobe, 28 classmates watching. Everyone gathered around them and started cheering, but some of them weren't cheering. That you said real for that. That was real.
Okay.
Submitted by
All
Jackson. Lot to look forward to from that.
Where are they going?
Edith
All
and
right,
Victoria,
okay.
I look forward to. Number 3 was they discovered an egg from Isabella's room, and the dinosaur starts hatching. You said fanfic for that, and that was indeed fanfic submitted by Monica.
Okay.
So that's 2 for 3.
Yep.
Number 4 was the lounge chairs and the walls moving in on them, again like an Abbott and Costello movie. You said fanfic for that, and that is fanfic submitted by John.
Woo. Okay.
Number 5, so that's 3 for 4. Wow.
Well, yeah, but there's 2 more to go. So.
Number 5 was Isabella making people disappear in clouds of smoke, along with new characters Tex, Abdullah, and Raymond. Tex is written like Texas, a guy from Texas. You said fanfic for that. That is real from later in the book.
God.
Submitted by Cynthia, the Mopek warrior Raymond, whom everybody loves, I assume. So that's 3 for 5. And then the last one was Komodo like dragons, knocking guys into trees. You said fanfic for that. It is real.
No, it can't be. No.
5 gigantic Komodo-looking dragons, 700 pounds, with horns and tails.
50%.
50%. Yeah.
I'm just guessing. It's guessing.
Yeah.
Can anyone blame me for that?
We'll see how people claim they do in the comments. That was submitted by Jeffrey, who helped us get our hands on the book. So thank you, Jeffrey. Perfect. It's amazing.
That's bad. All right.
A lot to look forward to.
I'll take what I get. That's fine. All right.
So chapter 2, which unfortunately I'm probably going to need to get quicker with, but it's shorter. We get introduced very quickly to, and boy, this is where they start coming fast and furious.
Oh yes, can I? Do you have it?
Do
you have the front of chapter 2 there?
Yeah.
I would like you to read, without pausing or stumbling, the paragraph that starts King Treshand.
Yeah. King Treshand and Queen Rashinda were both sitting on their thrones watching their son, Prince Rayan, teach his sister, Princess Asenta, to protect herself and their kingdom. Isabella, who was 23 years old and who had a crush on Rayan, sat nearby admiring her prince. Prince Rayan was 24 years old and Princess Asenta was 18 years old.
Okay, well done. All right. It's a good test.
Dave,
it's like the eye test when you first go into the office.
Yep.
Like, please read this. Okay.
They everything else was, passable teens or Nigerian names. Here's where they start throwing in the patented Ellis extra letters into names. Rashinda has 2 A's. Rayan has 2 N's. So that's exciting that's back.
This is good too. So they see the I forget who's. We'll get to this in a moment. There's a fight going, like a fake fight going on. The prince and the princess.
Rayan
right?
and Asenta, who are teenagers.
Everyone could hear as the bamboo sticks made contact with each other. All right. Okay, good. Everyone can still hear. I always like when they just check in on stuff like this. Nobody lost their hearing. The Nile has a lot of weird parasites.
Sure,
there could be. So thank you. Everyone can still
malaria
hear.
symptom or something.
As the bamboo sticks click together. Yes.
But so that is Rayan and Asenta. I'm sorry, Rayan is not a teenager, but they also loathe each other. They speak very sarcastically. All the hallmarks of teen speak. They're right now like sparring with bamboo sticks, and then they move on to daggers.
But the Mopeks do speak English. I just want to point that out.
I really hoped we were going to get an explanation for how that happened. Like, we have read one of your Canterbury tales that fell into our world. Like,
this is our Bible. We speak before the great vowel shift. It shall be difficult for you.
And here we go. I am positive you had this highlighted, but they because after the way the last chapter ended, Asenta lunged forward with a short dagger she was holding. Queen Rashinda gasped. King Treshand had a look of concern on his face. Rayan was able to grab the short dagger from his sister's hand and then slapped her across the face so hard with the back of his hand that she fell to the floor.
I certainly had it. I was like, "Is this this is a new?"
Well, no, not new. I went back and isolated some passages.
That's right. There was slaps.
The Blackwoodsbury beast that William was battling slapped him across the face so hard that William flew up in the air away from them. The sorceress got up from her throne and walked slowly over to Jonathan. She bent down and slapped Jonathan across the face.
That's right. Okay.
She slapped Jonathan again and then pushed him down to the cold floor. So it's a thing. It's a thing.
I forgot that it was. I in the back of my mind, I was like, I think maybe. I don't know.
It's incredible.
Here's one of those. If you were trying to write bad, we've talked about this a lot. You couldn't do this. Here it is. The prince and princess bowed their heads to one another as a sign of respect, even though they didn't trust each other and had absolutely no respect for one another. If you did that and you were writing a bad book, people would go like, that's a bridge too far. Don't do that. That's bad.
You're trying too hard. I mean, that's a new one. I don't think we noticed that, but like using the same word multiple times in a sentence is a pretty awesome way to make your writing much worse.
Yes. The king finally speaks, and I would like you to. I'll play the king, and could you just respond like a normal human?
Okay.
Are you ready? This is so
not what not what's in the book, just as a normal human would.
Yeah, you respond normally, and I'll just read because this is one contiguous thing. It does not get interrupted.
Okay.
Who are you, and what are you doing here?
No, hey, I'm from London.
How did you get here?
Oh, well, we followed a map.
This place is the land of the Mopac.
Yeah, we had a map.
You were never supposed to find our kingdom and civilization.
Well, I guess we
cannot risk others of your kind finding us.
Okay, well, we hadn't thought about it.
I must protect my kingdom and my people.
Sure, that's a king's job.
Now that you know where we are, you can never leave.
I want my own.
All of you must stay here in the Mopac kingdom forever.
Oh my God, what are you
Do not be afraid.
Oh, okay.
You will not be treated as prisoners.
Oh, well, that's a positive.
We are not animals here in the kingdom of the Mopac.
Didn't say a word, but the authors
We
might
are
have...
civilized and honorable people.
That's, I mean, sure.
As long as you obey our rules and do not try to escape, your stay here will be a pleasant one.
Okay, if I could just get a
Let
word
me
in...
warn you that if you disobey me or my kingdom's laws in any way, you will regret it.
Getting a lot of mixed messages here from your tone and you asked the whole thing with annoyance. That was that's quite a block of text to ask with annoyance.
Oh, that one made that delighted me too.
The king is getting yanked in a bunch of different directions there.
He really is.
You must stay here forever. Don't be afraid.
King? There's like two, royal physicians behind him with like checking his humors as he's speaking. Like, I think you're too bilious. I don't know what's going on here.
Or he's just imagining a worm tongue whispering all those things to him before he says them.
Now say this, sir. But that doesn't make any sense. Just say it.
Should I let them respond? No. But yeah, so that's after they've been brought in by Nadur, who I believe is the head of the Mopac warriors.
Yes.
And then she introduces them. He says, he specifies that his daughter is also 18 years old herself as like a way of relating to the teenagers. Mm-hmm. But then there's all sorts of like maidens, like Lily and Ebony. And,
oh my God.
And Maiden Lily says, you three ladies must be dressed in the appropriate... So this is two Nigerian girls. I forget their names. And then
Lily and Ebony, right? And then the two, yes, Akita. Yeah,
Akita, right. And then and Emily. What's the daughter's name? Emily.
I forget. Rebecca. I don't know.
Yes, it's Rebecca. I think that's also the name of the girl in Antigua.
Okay.
So she says to her, Akita, and then the other woman. Jeez, I lost my place. Oh yeah. You must be dressed in the appropriate attire while you're visiting us here in the land of the Mopac. What you are wearing and the way you smell is simply not acceptable. Look, I'm not going to beat around the bush. It is just absolutely unacceptable. It's like
they go on about this like, oh my God, you smell like jungle animals. Yeah.
Do you want me to lie to them? What they're wearing is unacceptable and they smell like jungle animals and you know it. It's like, look, we've been mumbling for days here.
Yes. But before that, when they're deciding what to do with them, everyone's like weighing in, like everyone's just yelling out. So they're, think 30s movies again, like in a court. Like, no, we shall destroy them. We shall lock them up. And
I say they should be made a member of our court.
Wait, who said that? No, the queen says to them, we shall not lock them up yet or destroy them. And they're like, wait, yet? Wait, destroy? No one said anything about that. No one had said that. It was just like, are we going to treat them as guests or are we going to treat them as prisoners? And then she's like, we shall not lock them up yet. We shall destroy them. I mean...
Yet is doing a lot of heavy lifting, Your Honor. But yeah, I mean, they're a lost civilization that is willingly living down here. They've got to, it's you must destroy these people immediately. Your entire way of life is threatened. Like, you have no choice.
Yes.
Not to mention the germs have already been down here. Like that's a big problem.
Oh yeah, you guys are doomed. Yeah, you're doomed. But you got the feeling, of course, of Wizard of Oz, right? Like brush, clean.
I was singing that this morning, and Lauren started singing it like 30 seconds later. I was like, "Why am I singing snip, snip here?" I was like, "Because I was singing it." It's like, "Well, why were you singing it?"
Yes.
And a couple
So they bring him into some place. They're like, "Here's our giant closets. Like, you can't wear that." So they're from Lagos, right?
Yeah.
And then she says, oh, this is Atika. Okay, she says, "Oh, I forgot for a second." She says, "Your closets look like malls."
Yeah.
And they go, "What? What is KISS? What are malls?" "Oh, I forgot for a second that we were in an underground civilization," Atika said innocently. "Forget I mentioned a mall." Now, look, I don't know anything about Atika, but I did not picture her like going to a lot of malls.
Sure, true. Yeah.
Is that I know nothing about her life, and I assume she lives in Lagos?
Yeah.
Like in town?
They painted a picture of her that's pretty much in line with, like you said, your 30s movies. You show up, you go to the market, you buy a thumb piano, and then you play the drums and dance in a town square. And he's like, "Oh, no, I had a cell phone." You didn't mention that. You just made it sound like we were eating dirt on the floor of our hut.
Yeah, no, I was going to, I was doing Mean Girls at the mall, like sweeping my bangs up and stuff. What
I was
are you talking about?
cyberbullying people. I mean, come on.
Anyway, that was just a surprise.
Forgetting that they were in an underground civilization does not speak well of her book learning ability. And maybe that's why Andy Weir kept reminding everyone about the gravity on Mars, is because people do tend to forget when they've entered underground civilizations.
That's true, yeah.
But because the next sentence then is Rebecca says, "I guess you maidens haven't heard of televisions, computers, cell phones, or texting either, have you?" And it is jarring. Just, the guy was blogging earlier, but just the texting and cell phones existing in the Ellis sphere is a very jarring thing because the books never have them, So it just is the fact that this was like, the iPhone had been rolled out a couple years before this is it seems anachronistic.
It does. I will, again, only from the pens of Larry and Denise. I assume they write in longhand. "Come, girls, follow us. You must bathe first before you dress. If the king smells you during the evening meal, he might lose his appetite," Lily said rudely. "Lily, you're being so rude today," Ebony said. If you tried to do that, people are going to do that in real and fanfic, and I'm going to bite. Yeah. I'm going to bite on it.
I know, because all the rules are off the table.
Yeah.
Just when you thought you knew all the answers, they changed the questions.
Yep.
I do like, though, that like Akita is, she's this is better than shopping at the mall. This is the most beautiful and biggest closet I've ever seen in my life. It's like 50 closets rolled into one. This is their takeaway from something that no one on earth has ever seen aside from the people who live here. It's pretty great. But yeah, they get bathed, they get manicures and pedicures. No word about what's happening to the boys in this group. They're probably just like flipping baseball cards or something. They give him a can of, Skull, and they're just like sitting around waiting for the girls to come back.
I thought that was quite jarring, because I'm like, all right, where's the cut to the guys, doing this? Like, no, it never happens. We just spend a bunch of time with the teen girls getting cleaned up and getting new closets and clothes.
Larry probably wrote about like Donovan showing on like a Mopec dirty magazine, and Denise was like, that was a bridge too far. Here's a good one. This was very similar to the snake length. As the girls were being groomed by the maidens, a strange young woman around 23 years old walked into the bathing chamber. And she was the most beautiful woman in all of the land of the Mopec. She looked like an African goddess. So I wondered, did she look like Taweret, the hippo protector of mothers and children in Egyptian mythology? Like, is that the goddess she looked like?
This is a weird moment, too, because also in all the land of Mopec, like, we've been here 5 minutes. How big is the land of Mopec? How many, what is the population? Which we actually get.
We do
so
get.
That is amazing.
And it is surprising, too.
It is quite surprising.
But this hot 23-ish woman walks over to the bathing pool and said sarcastically, "Well, what do we have here?" do you really want to know? But she is evidently some sort of, they call her a witch. She says, "You don't want to anger me. You wouldn't want me to turn you into a toad."
Yeah.
And and then when she left, she's Isabella. Once she left, Lily sows loudly in hopes of her hearing. That witch, one day, she's going to get what's coming to her. Who does she think she is, and why is she talking as though Prince Rashinda is the king? Ebony asked angrily. King Trishond is still alive and makes the law of our kingdom. She acts as though she is the princess of the kingdom, Lily said sarcastically. Princess Asenta is the true princess. She's the most beautiful woman I've ever seen, Rebecca said with admiration. Like, hey, Rebecca, keep up with this here. Not something to be fawning over.
She like drinks the blood of infants. Why are you?
Yeah.
Did you not hear what I just said?
They lay it on thick about her. Stay far, far away from that one. There is not one good bone in her pretty little body. She is dangerous. Don't let her beauty fool you. She has an evil heart, and her beauty hides her wickedness. Never believe anything she says, and never trust her. She is a liar. She will lie to you and try to twist your thoughts. Do not trust her. Believe what I say. She cannot be trusted. Stay far away from her. Okay. Meow. Glad you've sharpened my fingers into claws with that pedicure here, because they're coming out.
That's a Norm Macdonald moment. Do not trust her. She will twist. I mean, this guy's a real jerk. And then this is, okay, finally we get to it. Chekhov's Rebels.
Oh, yeah. This is nice.
That's not nice for a young lady to say. You sound like one of the rebels that live out in the jungle.
World building.
Yes.
We get a little bit more about those later, but that's just, a tossed off reference to the rebels to the girl they just gave a pedicure to.
That was so good. Yes.
They're feeding them a feast, and they're all very hungry because it says it had been a long journey. Which it
had been hours since they had had a decent meal. So they were eating like pigs. It'd been hours? Don't we all go many hours before eating a meal?
Good point.
I don't think it's how many hours?
Just say days. I mean, that would negate the fact that they seem to have traversed Africa. And but you said they eat like pigs. That's what Prince Rashinda said angrily. These guests eat like pigs. So the land of the Mopek is well aware of swine. They have
yes. So they keep them and they use the same phrase. Yes. So okay.
And then we get introduced to the other Timothy in the book, Sharkwheel.
Oh my God! I'm so excited for the story arc of Sharkwheel.
I have to imagine. I mean, Larry is a Florida man. He could have been fans of the Magic when Shaquille O'Neal played on them. So this could have been just a little tribute.
Sharkwheel saw Billy as a threat because Billy was from another world, and he felt, I assume that means Sharkwheel, that the princess might be intrigued with that. Sharkwheel kept looking over at Billy with an angry expression on his face.
And Sharkwheel is 19, and so he's got 2 years on Billy. And so in this book, that means like status. But
so he's probably been to 4 periods.
But Billy, Sharkwheel, Asenta says to Sharkwheel, like, don't worry about anything. I don't want any trouble. He says, okay, I won't. And Billy looked at the two of them and realized they had a special bond that couldn't be broken by anyone, not even him. That's way more intuition than I've been giving Billy credit for. Like, he seemed like kind of a dim bulb.
Yes. I was like, Billy, you suck. Like, yes, we all agree, you suck. Like, Billy couldn't sway any. No, not even Billy. Billy?
Yeah, this
him?
Blogger?
Egg? No.
So they, after the feast is done, like they are in sleeping chambers, but there are, it says, Thomas wakes up, the younger guy. Billy and Adam were asleep, and there were no warriors guarding the entrance into their resting chambers at this time. So there had been warriors guarding them, but they took a break or something. He walks around and sees statues of knights in shining armor. So I didn't look into whether, European style King Arthur knights in shining armor were widespread in Africa, but I'm guessing they want us to imagine what we're all thinking of when we hear that phrase. Yes. But then he gets caught by Nador, the head of Mopek security, or the head warrior.
Yeah,
the head warrior of the Mopek, not to be confused with the head centaur of the unicorns.
Yes.
And then he just sort of dresses Thomas down for wandering around.
And he puts him on the ground and pulled out a sword and pointed it at him. Which leads me to this sonic challenge for you. Are you ready?
Yeah.
This is after Nadur points a sword at him. Okay. Thomas said sarcastically, all right. Goodness, you don't have to be so nasty about it. So you have to say those words sarcastically.
All right. Goodness, you don't have to be so nasty about it.
I think that's got the sarcastic filter on pretty well.
There you
go. So the next day, Sharquille asks sarcastically, Billy, can you handle a sword?
This is so bizarre. What the hell does Billy know or care about Sharquille's habits? Because here's how it starts. Okay. Billy walked into the courtyard and asked, Sharquille, what are you doing out here? What? Sharquille asked, and I think this is sensible, what do you care? And then Billy answers, well, I really don't care. I was just walking by and I saw you.
Look, man, I know we got off on the wrong foot. I'm just trying to like reset things. So like,
what are you doing out here? Like, I spend every day here. Yeah. How old? Oh, you just got here. Yeah. Like, what are you talking about? What am I doing out here?
This is a 19-year-old thing. You wouldn't understand.
Yes.
But
so then they go into a
well, he says, Billy, can you handle a sword? And Billy said, yes, I've handled swords once or twice before. Which, we're just getting things revealed very quickly here. Billy has intuition about relationships, and he's taken classes in sword fighting, so he was pretty good at it. And I guess they were rich. They live in a mansion, so maybe they have time for, like, elitist hobbies like that. He probably plays polo or something, too.
Do you think that Ms. Pendleton was, like, setting those, things up? Like, it's time for the sword fighting practice for you,
Grab your pay. That's how I prison people in the basement.
Don't look at me sarcastically. I know your type.
But Sharquille was able to knock Billy's sword right out of his hand. Billy tripped and fell backwards. So his lessons, they hopefully did not pay the full price for them. It was like a Groupon at the Learning Annex or something.
Right. So then he gets, he's laying on the ground. Asenta comes up.
Princess Asenta.
Princess, yes. And like, oh my gosh, what happened? He's like, no, I'm fine. Don't worry. And then she like picks him up and they walk like hand in hand or something.
After Sharquille was just like, I'll kill you. She means a lot to me. She means more than you'll ever know, stranger from the outside world. Stay out of my way, Billy.
She gently held on to Billy's arm.
So that's the first thing he does is he walks off with her like alone as she's making eyes at him.
And she says this, which is very funny. Like, Billy, there's a lot of history surrounding the land of Mopek. We're a proud people. We hold the memory of our... And he's like, I don't really care. I've just been hanging out, eating like a pig. And
I've never been on a date before. You just touched my arm, so I have like, as horny as possible right now.
Yeah, there's a, I'm pitching a tent. I don't really...
Yeah. Do not let Sharquille see that. But like she does fill him in on some background because Billy asks these following questions. I've seen some of your dancers. They are very beautiful. I also saw you dance last night, Princess. You dance well. Who are the Mopeks? Where did you come from? How long has your civilization been hiding underneath the ground? Why is your kingdom underneath our world? How many Mopek live here in the kingdom of the Mopek? How did you end up within the pyramid of the Mopeks? And so she says, Jimmy, to her credit, says, slow down. You're asking me too many questions at once, which is like a little self-awareness. But she says, the Mopek civilization has always been here. Aswenta said informatively.
This is bananas. Then it goes on. We were around when the dinosaurs roamed freely over the earth. Uh-huh. We were around when the Ice Age destroyed some of them.
Didn't happen.
And the giant rocks from the heavens destroyed many more. We were here when the pharaohs and ancient kings had the pyramids built. I love the passive language. Had the pyramids in Egypt and Africa.
Egypt and Africa.
Yes, Egypt and Africa. We have been here during your droughts. Shades of, Star Trek there. Yeah. Your droughts, volcanic eruptions, floods, and fierce storms. So, yeah, we've gotten your runoff. We know what's going on up there. Rebecca told me that your parents were archaeologists, which is a word we use. I'm sure during their adventures, they've come across a dinosaur or two in the pyramids. I just said, I'm going to post this on a forum and just like, as myself and just see how many people are like thumbs up.
You mean to an archaeology forum?
Yeah, seriously, guys. They were around when the Ice Age destroyed some of the dinosaurs. I mean, you guys know that dinosaurs have been found in a few of the pyramids, and see how many people. Most people will be like, "Who the hell is this?" But
mods ban hammer much? I had to look it up. It's estimated that dinosaurs died 63 million years before the Ice Age. So that's
sure. But she just spills that all. I just thought it was banana. There's a lot of, wow, you could build a conspiracy over any one of the things she said.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's, if Larry's a sort of ancient aliens conspiracy guy thinking that there's dinosaurs in the pyramids, that's where they keep them. I mean, this makes sense. You think it's just gold in there? The dinosaurs are there to protect the gold. That's what they're found there. Otherwise, people just come in and steal the gold.
So who's that guy he cracked up, Tutankhamun's, like, right? And then he just steals like the gold mask and everything. What if there'd been a dinosaur in there? He would have eaten that guy, the British guy who took the mask of Tutankhamun.
Yeah, and so you wonder if the dinosaurs are cursed too, because those mummies are cursed. Like, what if you went in there and stolen the thing, and then it made like Jimmy Buffett music sound like it's made it sound like a bad music. That would be.
Larry.
So awful.
Oh, Larry gets slapped so hard he falls to the ground. I'm trying to write this book. I'm sorry, Denise.
I'm sorry. Just put the dinosaurs in the pyramids. I love you.
Oh, God.
So here's now how they break down the population, which is important. He says, how many people live here in the world? She thought about it for a few seconds and then said, let me see. We have hundreds of teenagers living here in the kingdom, because teenagers, it's like Poochie. If he's not on screen, all the other characters have to say, where's Poochie? Where are the teenagers and how many? Several hundred teenagers, several thousand adults, and about 100 people in my family court. And don't forget all the Mopek warriors protecting our land. So to answer your question, I have no idea how many people live here. And then...
What's your wild guess? I pegged it at a guess.
At this point, because she does give an answer later.
Oh, she does?
Yes.
In our reading?
Yes. So what did you guess?
Shoot, I guessed 3,500.
Okay. Well, she says there's almost 3,000 Mopeks living here. The kingdom of the Mopek is larger than you imagined. It's like,
oh, well, is that including the rebels? That's what I was kind of including the
okay,
rebels.
So you thought it might be 500 rebels?
I don't know.
Well, she says there are. Well, she just says there are several Mopek men and women who have been banished from the kingdom for serious crimes against the society.
Okay.
I was like, I hope they're just jaw-droppingly awful crimes. And so, but yeah, that's the thing, and it's like 3,000. Excuse me. If you've been around since the dinosaurs, the inbreeding. It's got to have taken some pretty serious tolls down here. I guess Isabella's super hot, but like everyone else is just like, oh yeah, don't look at that guy. It's
yeah, teeth like Indian corn. It's just like, this is another theory that I want to post on a forum, because this is the explanation. So like, why? Why don't you just, climb a ladder, right? Come up to our world and hang out. Most of you are pretty beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
It's a bunch of teenagers. That'd be fun.
Yeah,
we
teenagers
can go to the mall.
love sneaking out.
Yeah, we go to the mall and stuff. And then, because of greed from your kind, it became increasingly obvious that we needed to keep your kind out of our world. It was necessary to close the entranceway into our world for our very survival. Also, there are the dinosaurs, which we needed to keep from reaching your world. That is the third reason why we built the pyramid. Billy, you and your friends should have never come here. You have put the inhabitants of both our worlds in danger. So there are three reasons.
It was
so when they're building the pyramids, And, the engineer, he's like flipping over the papyrus, like, guys, can we focus on just locking the dinosaurs in to the pyramid?
Yeah.
I feel like we're putting too much polish on the outside granite that lays on the, and too much on the chambers of the kings. Let's do the dinosaur thing. It's number 3 on our list. Come on, guys.
Look, I will build both of these if you need me to. It's in my interest to charge as much as possible. But like, I shouldn't be saying this. If you can keep dinosaurs in, that's going to keep people out. Just from a bigness standpoint, dinosaurs. Well, if they can't get through the door, people can't get through the door. I'm just saying it. I can do it if you want me to. It's just going to cost you a lot extra money. You don't need to spend down here.
Right. He's knocking on the side of one of the pyramids. Like I could build it for. I think it is dinosaur proof. I would love to sell you another one. But you have that middle chamber. You're going to get a little. You're going to get a dinosaur who's going to wander up into that chamber, but I don't think he's going to get out.
Also,
so we're good.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, we're good.
I'll send the invoice. But also, so they exile the rebels for serious crimes against society, and they also have a law against leaving the kingdom. The rebels have been exiled to the jungle, which I guess is part of the kingdom, but
which has a sun. They said there was a sun earlier.
Oh, that beats down on the really? I missed that.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know.
They're serving this food. I don't know how they don't get rickets or whatever from vitamin D deficiencies or something, but somehow it's working for them down here. But it says, it's against our law. No one's allowed to enter the kingdom. Even the rebels who live in the jungle know not to attempt to leave this world and enter into yours. It's taboo. Millions of years ago, though, our people used to travel back and forth between our worlds. So it just, if the rebels are committing serious crimes against our society and then they've been exiled, it seems like they might not be obeying, these sort of cultural taboos or laws anymore once they've been, kicked out for mass murdering or whatever they've done.
Yeah, like
not super trustworthy.
What are you doing? We have a law against what you're doing. Like,
I ate a guy, so like I don't really.
I live in a skin tent.
Obey your laws.
Really, I don't.
Kind of a pariah if I can be self-deprecating.
Yeah. So when some outsiders come down here, if I get one of them, I'm going to eat his butt cheek. I'm not going to. Let's not mince words about this.
Yeah, it's like
the tenderest part.
So it's like they're rebels. What did they rebel against? Or a policy of not murdering. It's like they didn't really lead an uprising. They just like committed horrible crimes against humanity.
That would be great if there were rebels about, it's like this huge taxation thing. Like, I was the most prosperous closet maker in all of Mopac, and all of a sudden I got taxed like 97%. I couldn't even feed my family. So I said something against it, and I was cast out.
Yeah, it was a personal grudge by King, Arthur or whatever the guy's name is.
Yeah, he didn't charge anyone else that tax. He just put it on me.
Yeah. It was racist. Our great grandfathers are the same guy. However, probably our great grandfather too. But like if you go back 7 greats, we come from a different stem, so he's racist against that side of the family. It's a real Hatfield McCoy kind of thing. And then,
but it all ends. Do you want to wrap it up with the ending?
Yeah, she just sort of says like, we should have never looked for this. We're so sorry.
Yes.
But she says like, also, I'm scared for all of us because our way of life will be threatened now that the outside world has come here.
I'm scared for all of us. And Billy gave Princess Asenta a hug. At that moment, Billy wished he had never come to the land of Mopac. So bad hug, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, clammy.
Ooh. Yeah. Didn't think there'd be so much back fat.
Yeah, for as much time as you all spent in that spa, that is some pretty strong odor here. That's.
Ooh. Yeah, you said I eat like a pig. You smell like a pig. Ooh.
Starting to realize Brittany was giving off some strong signals climbing into my bedroom window, and maybe should have taken her up because she's clearly named Brittany because she looks like Britney Spears, because that's what Larry was thinking about. And I'm going to die never having gone on a date, stabbed by shark wheel.
Could I tell you one thing? No one will know who this person is, so I'm going to tell this. I was doing a shoot once, and I was with a production guy, and we were driving somewhere. Just he and I. A guy. He was a little bit younger than I, but he goes like, "I got to tell you something, man. I love Britney Spears." I was like, "Wait, what? You mean the teen?" This was at a time when she was probably still like 19 or 20 or something. It's like the one who sings yeah, she just makes me happy, man. And I'm like, I got to stop and get some gas, and then we can go on. And then we get back in the car, and he goes like, "Look, I don't want you to get the wrong idea." I'm like, "Would you stop talking about Britney Spears?"
He realized he had dug a bit of a hole there.
He's like, "How do I get my way out of this?" He's like, I don't know, she just makes me happy. I'm like, "Look, what do you expect for today's shoot? It's going to be a rough one, huh?" Like, oh my God.
He's weeping by the end. "Don't tell my wife. Don't tell my kids."
And then the next day he was like, "Well, I don't want you to get the wrong idea." I was like, just stop, just stop.
That man's name was Larry Ellis.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
I'm going to go write a book with my wife.
easy thing to keep to yourself.
Yes.
Yeah. Wow. What a journey.
All right. Wow. I'm sorry
see.
we went long, but that was amazing.
Yeah. Let's do some dumb sentences very quickly. There's a highlight reel too, because Jeffrey, John, and Michael all submitted the prince and princess bowed their head to another as a sign of respect, even though they didn't trust each other and had absolutely no respect for one another.
Okay.
Brad submitted, as they walked, Babatunde said, "This country of ours, Africa, is famous for music." George submitted, "The teens were finally at the Nile River," which finally. Mike submitted, "An ancient civilization is alive today." Elizabeth responded with disbelief. And he said she probably disbelieved it because it's inherently contradictory. If it's alive today, it is not ancient. Augusta submitted, "I know the exact area of the Nile River you're referring to." That the map is referring to. And he pointed out again the distance that they are from the side of the continent. Jay submitted, "Hopefully it leads to the lost civilization of the Mopek," Samira said with hope.
Yep, there you go.
Mike T said, Thomas said sarcastically, "Rebecca, you look like a bull on a diet." He said he pulled his car over after that sentence. Maybe he's kidding. That's when I pulled the car over and screamed bloody murder at Thomas and Rebecca. I was like, how did he get an audiobook of this? Josh submitted, that's the whole thing of like, "Are you hanging out tonight?" I'm not reading 4 sentences. What dumb sentence of the week. Steve submitted, "They played drums, bongos, and all kinds of interesting instruments." He said, "I like to think the other interesting instruments were theremins, glockenspiels, and hurdy-gurdies." Cynthia submitted the all-time postscript, "Also, there are dinosaurs which we needed to keep from reaching your world." Amy submitted, "I have several backpacks full of food, water, flashlights, and batteries." She said, "Very dumb because they didn't pack any knickknacks, tarps, or fuzzies." So the expedition is doomed. And I was like, oh, man, a Charles E. Harris Ellis crossover would be too much for this podcast to handle. Yes. Harrison submitted, "What he doesn't know won't hurt me." He likes the new twist on the old saying. That seems like a Larry motto. Mandy submitted, "She reminds me of a 19th century widow from Scotland offering tea and cookies for guests while at the same time poisoning children in the basement." She said, is this a story I should know about?"
Who is this in reference to? That was mine. Like, what is the specificity here?
Carson also submitted "This country of ours, Africa." Trevor submitted, "Both he and Elizabeth knew that this particular pharaoh must have been a man of significant wealth and had great power." Alejandro submitted, "You are handsome and a hot guy." He said it's the closest thing we get to any description of what the teens look like. Everyone except, Isabella, right, is not described as anything. She's the hottest woman. Claudine submitted, "Antony and Elizabeth had traveled the world from Antarctica to India to Africa to Egypt and more." She said several dumb things at once, but one that stands out the most is how Egypt seems to not be a part of Africa in this universe. I think we all know why they don't think they think of Egypt and they're thinking of guys in turbans, and Africa is they're not. We all know what's going on there.
We know what's going on.
Not none of it turbans like those a sheik or whatever.
Yes.
An oil baron. Janelle submitted. Janelle submitted 4 sentences. We're not reading that. Amanda and Olivia, "I am sure during their adventures they have come across a dinosaur or two in the pyramids." She said, you've talked about careless of courses and obviously's before, like the ice cream bunny, of course. But now we can add, I'm sure, to the list. Jackson submitted Sharkeel saw Billy as a threat because Billy was from another world and he felt that the princess might be intrigued with that. Christine, she said sarcastically, enjoy your stay here, young visitors. And she wanted to say, it's unusual to send a competent sentence of the week, but I really wanted to commend Larry and or Denise for this. Of the so far 33 instances of the word sarcastically, it's the only one that's been used sarcastically correctly. Yes. And Balaji submitted, the teens were forced back to their feet by the Mopek warriors, and then through the jungle of the land of the Mopek, right to the kingdom of their king. Oh, it's perfect. Yeah, so land of the Mopek, different than the kingdom of the Mopek. We'll have to parse that out.
Oh, I didn't even note that. Wow. I have, mine is, after all of that, this is pretty tame, but it made me laugh. She walked over to the plant and almost placed her hand on it. It's just a weird.
Yeah.
How do you know when someone almost does something?
And that's the carnivorous Venus flytrap that almost bites her.
Yeah, that's the Venus flytrap. Yes.
I will submit. The 16s backed up slowly and walked away from the gorillas.
In isolation, that's pretty good.
Oh, perfect. Well, I think that's it for that. We'll have to look up what the assignment is. I didn't calculate it ahead of time, but thank you, everybody. Thanks to everyone who helped make us find the book in the first place. This is going to be a blast.
What a joy. Thanks, everyone.